Yes, you are the first one here, Macho Man. But I was actually here when you came in. So technically, yes, you're the first one here, but you didn't beat me today. All right. We're going to get started. I think I have everything set up. Yes, we got the soundboard today. All right. Sorry, everybody. I'm just finishing my French fries. They're really good, in case you were wondering. I don't think we need anything else before we get started today. Just the book. And really, that's it, because that's all we're doing today is we're reading. Okay, I hope you're all comfy and you have had maybe a good meal to fill you up, because I certainly did. Hello, hi. Yeah, I certainly had a good meal. To get me started for the stream tonight, hi, how are you? How are you all doing? Hello, Ryan. Hello, Macho Man. Welcome in. Welcome in. Oh, man, what a day. What a day. What a week. What a week. Welcome in. Okay, I got my drink. I'm good. We're set up. I got the book. We're ready. We're ready to go. I'm gonna roll right into it. Let's see how many minutes we've been streaming. 5 minutes. That's it. That's all we need. Okay. Hi. Hello. I'm Miss B. Hanley, and today we are finishing part 3 of Backlash by Sarah Darer Littman. Last time, in fact, yesterday, we got through about halfway of part 3. So today we're gonna finish it. We've just encountered Bree. Obviously, we left off at Bree's finding death threats on her phone, on her voicemail. And, you know, she's feeling the pain. She's feeling the same kind of pain that Laura felt at the beginning of the book. Hey, Brian. Hey, welcome in. We just got started. We're gonna go. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna read this. We're gonna finish it. And we're taking the quiz tomorrow. And yeah, so we're gonna find out, you know, ultimately what happens with this. Maybe, yeah, that's right, Clouds. That's right. We're not letting your message come in. No, definitely not. Don't make me hide you. So yeah, we're going to be finishing part 3, and we're going to basically figure out, I can the quiz now. No, you can't the quiz now. Can't. There we go, Clouds. That's the kind of messages we like to see. There we go. Let's give you an applause for that one. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So Bree has been starting to feel the same kind of feelings that Laura has felt, and is really getting the backlash from her choices online and being online. So we know that Bree is, you know, she's feeling bad about the decision she made. She didn't know that Laura was going to try to commit suicide from her words, but she did, right? She did commit suicide. She did try to commit suicide. And now Bree is having to deal with that. Not only Bree, but her mom who was also involved in the bullying, and also the rest of Bree's family, even Liam and her dad, who were not even involved in the situation with Laura at all. So it's gonna be really tough for Bree, I think, and her whole family in this part. But we're gonna see what ultimately happens with Bree and her family. Who's gonna be? Are they gonna send anybody to jail? Are they gonna sue anybody? Is Laura's family gonna sue Bree's family? You know, are Laura and Bree gonna come together again? Are they ever gonna be able to like have a normal like relationship? Who knows? But everything's really kicking off right now. Everyone knows that Bree was the one who made the profile to cyberbully Laura. And so now they're after her. Well, we haven't read that part yet, Macho Man, but Liam is not all that enthused about going to school. Same as Bree. But he does anyway. And he, he's obviously been not involved in that. Yeah, let's not spoil. But I mean, we've talked about it. If you've read ahead, it's definitely something that we can anticipate happening. Liam getting also a reverberation of the backlash that Bree is getting and his mom is getting from these choices. Okay, how's my sound? Am I okay? Am I too loud? Is it too loud or is it good? Is it good? I hope it is good because, excuse me. Because it looks like it's a little loud right now. No, we're good. Okay, good, Macho Man. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving that feedback. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being on our final stream of Backlash. I'm so excited to finish this book. This is a really great book. It's got so many lessons. So let's get into it. Thank you, Clouds. Thank you, Brian. All right. We just left off at Bree, so we're going into the next chapter. Let me pull this up for everybody. We're going into the next chapter, Sydney. Let me make sure that okay, good. I'm all set. We got Sydney. Sydney is Laura's sister. Everything's moving. Everything's kicking off, right? Laura's family knows about Bree, and what are they going to do to Bree? Are they going to be involved in the hating? And, are they going to be involved in the backlash as well? We'll find out. Let's see, but everybody's involved. So, let's see how this goes down. Okay. Sydney. I wanted Mom to drive me to school today, but of course she had to stay with Laura, who didn't sleep well last night because of the press attention. And Mom doesn't want Dad to drive me like he did yesterday because he almost punched out a photographer who tried to take a picture of us. He has to keep away from the press in case he does something stupid and messes up her campaign even more. I think someone said this in the last stream, but Laura's dad definitely has some anger issues. He almost punched out a photographer. He's like ready to deck Laura's mom or Bree's mom, after finding out it was her who was involved. So, I think Laura's dad is a little trigger happy. He seems to want to go and answer with violence, which is not the answer. So I have to fight my way through the savage media hordes all by myself. They stick these big black microphones in my face and ask me questions about Laura and Bree. I brush their mics away saying, "Leave me alone. You're going to make me miss the bus." But they keep surrounding me like a pack of rabid dogs until Mrs. Gorski comes out of her house with a broom and yells at them. "Leave the poor child alone," she shouts, waving her broomstick at them like some crazy old witch. She's wearing a flowered nylon housecoat and a pair of purple Crocs, which look ginormous at the end of her thin chicken legs. But Mrs. G has never looked better to me, even in her Barney Crocs with her white hair sticking up at all directions. She marches to the bus stop by my side, wielding the broom like a weapon, ready to use it on anyone with a camera or a mic who dares come too close. Mrs. G, for the win. Mrs. G coming in for the win. We love Mrs. G. No, violence is not key, although the threat of violence is. And yeah, Ryan, we or Clouds, we didn't include that comment there. Thanks, Mrs. G, I say. My words come out damp and wobbly, having this tiny old lady with her flyaway hair and her housecoat ready to fight for me, armed with only a household cleaning tool, and her personality makes me feel more like the real Sydney and less like the beef jerky one. The other kids at the bus stop give me a strange look when I get there, but I don't know if it's because of the news or because of Mrs. G marching beside me with her broom and her purple Crocs. Liam isn't there. I don't know if he was here yesterday. I didn't see him in school. Maybe his parents are willing to drive him. And I think they were, if we remember from Bree's chapter. I think his parents did say that they would drive him, but he's like, no, he doesn't want to be with Bree. So he wants to really distance himself from her at all. But I wonder why that she's missing Liam, right? She's not seeing him, right? Wonder if he's avoiding her. Maybe he's scared to go and meet her because he's afraid that Sydney's going to hate him. I don't know. Mrs. G keeps up a steady stream of conversation, telling me about how her daughter, who lives in Cleveland, is coming to visit with her 1-year-old grandson this weekend, and how she can't wait to see him and she wishes they lived closer. Even though I'm only half listening, I'm grateful because it means I don't have to answer any questions or wonder what the other kids are thinking. In fact, I'm so grateful that when the bus pulls up, I hug her before I get on. Hang in there, Bubbly, Mrs. G says, embracing me with her bony arms. All these mashuganas will be over soon. All this mashuganas? I wish Miss Golden were here to tell me what this is supposed to say. I wish she could pronounce it for me. Maybe she'll come back and she'll comment and then we'll ask her. All this mashuganas will be over soon and they'll move on to the next thing. You'll be okay. Trust me. I don't have a clue what a bubbly or mashuganas means, but I want like anything else to believe her when she says that it'll be okay. 2 stops past our normal route, our normal one, Liam gets on the bus and it suddenly goes quiet. Then kids move to the aisle so that even though there's an empty space next to them, he can't sit down. He quickly covers the flash of hurt on his face with a mask of indifference. But I know. I can tell by the way his skin flushes under his freckles. I can tell by the way his jaw is set. I've known Liam Connors long enough to tell. Even though I've got every reason to be mad at the Connorses, more reason than any of the other kids on this bus to hate Liam, I don't. He can't help being Bree's brother any more than I can help being Laura's sister. That's right, Sydney. So smart. Sydney, smartest kid in the world. We're both stuck in this sucky situation by accident of birth. In that brief instant before the mask came up, he looked as tired, angry, and miserable as I feel. So I slide over to the window and gesture to the seat next to me. I hear muttering. Why would she do that? Isn't that Laura Kelly's sister? But I try to tune it out. They don't know our history. They don't know what it's like to be me or to be Liam. Liam looks surprised, but he plops down next to me in the seat. Thanks, he mumbles, giving me a quick, grateful glance. But then he keeps his eyes trained on the backpack resting on his knees as if he's afraid to let the mask slip. How's it going? I ask, then curse myself for asking because it's a seriously stupid question. Oh, everything's just swell, he says, dripping sarcasm. Someone posted our phone number online at 2:00 in the morning, and it started ringing off the hook with people leaving obscene messages and death threats for Mom and Bree. Dad finally ripped all the plugs out of the wall. This is back when people had landlines. I don't know if do your family still have landlines, y'all? Because I don't. I mean, my dad does, but my dad's he's a boomer, so he obviously has a landline. I'm trying to think. Does my other family members have landlines? I think my aunt has a landline. No, yeah, Clouds, right? No. I don't know what people who have landlines. But that's how you know this was written 10 years ago, right? Because 10 years ago, people did. People still bought and had landlines and had phone plans for landlines and phone numbers, which is funny. Although, if this were in 2023, they would just be calling their cell phone numbers. But at least the cell phones have do not disturb on them. So I guess. But then it would be harder to know who's calling for real and who's calling to be mean and obscene and give death threats and stuff, I guess. As mad as I am at Bree and Mrs. Connors, as much as I want them to be punished for what they did to Laura, as we all do, Sydney, death threats are pretty extreme, especially when Liam didn't do anything wrong. That's horrible, I say. Are you, scared? Liam shrugs. I don't know. The policeman who came by at 4 this morning said the obvious thing to do is change our phone number and just be vigilant. They'll investigate to see if any of them are really credible. But even if they can arrest someone, they can't protect us 24/7. He gives me a sideways look, and despite everything, manages a weak smile. You're not planning on bumping me off, are you, Sid? That he can still joke with me while crazy people are threatening to kill his mom and his sister tugs at my heart. He's my friend, no matter what's happening in the world around us. I have to keep reminding myself of that. So true. I love that Sydney is fully aware that Liam doesn't deserve any of this. And she's also fully aware that Bree and her mom don't deserve death threats either, right? Obviously, yes, we all think that they should be punished. They should be held accountable for what they did. But death threats, that's not how you punish people. But at the same time, it's what Bree did to Laura, right? It's what Bree instigated online for her. So it's almost she's getting that same thing back at her. I don't know. I feel like there's almost like there's like I can see both sides of it, really. Okay. Not this week, I say, but I'll have to check my assassination schedule for next week. And then I get a real Liam smile, the one that goes all the way to his eyes. I'll watch my back then. I don't want to take away his smile, but I have to ask, how's Bree doing? The light disappears immediately, and he starts picking at a loose thread on his backpack strap. She's a disaster, especially after what happened with her cell yesterday. What's that? Someone hacked it and changed her outgoing message, asking people to leave her death threats, then posted the number online. When she turned it on after second period, there were already 70 messages. She got totally hysterical, and Dad had to go to school and pick her up. He pulls hard at the loose thread and rips it. They were seriously nasty, at least the few I was allowed to listen to. I can't help myself. Worse than the stuff that people wrote on Laura's Facebook wall. Good for you, Sydney, making that connection. Liam stiffens. At least people weren't threatening to kill her. I know he's her brother, but it's like he's forgotten that Bree's the one who started it all. Exactly. If it weren't for her, none of us would be living through this nightmare. Dad wouldn't have had a citation for disorderly conduct. Mom's re-election campaign wouldn't be on the rocks. Laura would be cheering at football games and getting on with her life instead of being such a mess. And I'd have a chance to audition for the 8th grade musical and maybe have gotten a lead instead of just being on crew and once again being reduced to playing a bit part in my sister's drama. As if his life sucks right now, well, so does mine. And so does Laura's and Mom's and Dad's. Maybe not, but Bree basically told Laura to kill herself, I tell him. My voice cracks as I try to hold back angry tears. And she tried to do it. Liam stares at me, his green eyes dark and wounded. What does he expect? That I should feel sorry for Bree? I feel bad for him because he's caught up in this just the way I am. But Bree's different. She brought this on herself the moment she created that fake profile and started messing with my sister's head. She's my sister, Sid. I look away from him out the window, the scenery blurred as the first tears trail down my cheeks. Well, Laura is mine. We don't speak to each other the rest of the way to school. This is a sad one.
Aww.
It's a sad aw, okay? Okay, yeah, so they both have their own perspectives, and it's interesting to see them kind of like come together at this, because I feel like they both agree about certain things, but at the same time, like, no one deserves death threats, right? No one deserves what Bree did to Laura, and no one deserves what people are doing to Bree, right? But it is a cycle. It is like this really vicious cycle because people are like, well, if you do it, then we're going to do it back to you. And then they're going to do it back to them. And it just keeps going back and forth. And it becomes this awful cycle of just like negativity and death threats and violence. And that's just like, it doesn't help anything, right? It just makes it worse. It just keeps it going, like we are seeing in this book. Maddie and Kara are talking about Beauty and the Beast at lunch because that's mostly what they talk about these days. Kara ended up getting the part of Belle. I'm really happy for her. But whenever they talk about the musical, I can't help feeling left out, even though I'm doing crew. It's just not the same. It's not the same. Having been in the theater, it's not the same. Being on stage is very different than being in backstage, like mentally and obviously physically, but like your mindset is different, right? Because you're going out on stage, you're performing for people, like people are watching you, and one, you're just kind of like helping out in the background, right? There's no real performance for you, but like you're still a part of it, but it doesn't, like, actors and stage crew usually don't have the same kind of like things to talk about. I also can't help wondering what would have happened if Laura hadn't tried to kill herself, if I hadn't been stuck at the hospital, if I'd been able to go to auditions instead of being caught up in Laura's drama. Maybe it could have been me. It's not like I'm mad at Kara. If anyone other than me had to get the lead, I'm glad it was her. But the thing is, I wanted the role so badly. Even if I didn't get the part, at least. I wanted the opportunity to try out. All that practicing for weeks leading up to the auditions, and because of Laura, no. Because of Bree, I didn't even get that chance. It makes me mad at Bree all over again. and at Liam. Is he crazy? How could he expect me to feel sorry for Bree? I mean, it's not like I want people to make death threats. That's going totally overboard. But she deserves something bad to happen to her because of what she did. She shouldn't just get to keep on going on with her life like nothing ever happened, because we don't have that option. Not Laura, not me, not anyone in my family, especially now. Oh my gosh. Did you see the latest about Bree and her mom on the news? Maddie says between bites of carrot. Geez, Maddie, didn't anyone ever teach you not to talk with your mouth full? You mean Monster Mom? Kara giggles. Wouldn't that be a great new reality series? Yeah, sure, I say, if it weren't actually my life at the moment. The smiles fade from my friends' faces. I am so sorry, Sid. I just spaced, Kara says. I'm not used to stuff on the news having anything to do with the people I actually know. You know, real people. Trust me, this is all too real. For my family and the Connorses, I say. They both gape at me. Wait, are you sticking up for Brianna Connors after what she did to Lara? Maddie asks. Because that's messed up. Totally messed up, Kara agrees. I don't know what I'm doing. I've been confused every minute of every single day since we found Lara unconscious in the bathroom. I alternate between being confused and mad. Mad at everyone and everything. Mad about why everything in our family always revolves around Lara. Confused about why life is so freaking unfair all the time. Wondering why people have to be jerks instead of being nice to one another. No, I'm not sticking up for her. Exactly. It's just, I don't know. How do I explain that as much as I hate Bree and Mrs. Connors for what they did, the person who probably understands what I'm going through the most is Liam? Or at least was Liam? They wouldn't understand. I don't think anyone would. It's hard enough to accept it myself right now. Never mind, I've got to go. I'll see you later. I get up and clear my stuff. I'm sorry if I upset you, Sid, Kara says. Really, I am. It's okay, I tell her. Things are just, Yeah, I know, she says. But the thing is, Kara doesn't know. Neither does Maddie. Neither of them have the faintest idea what it's like. How can they? The only person who really understands is the brother of the one who started all of this. And now that I'm mad at him, I feel absolutely and totally alone. It's not until I reach the nearest bathroom that the realization hits me. I'm turning into my sister, Lara, a walking, talking buzzkill. Ooh, ouch. I mean, unfortunately, yeah, right? Like, Sydney is going through it and her friends don't understand. And Liam is probably the only one who does. But like, she is right. Like, the fact that her friend even says this, right? I'm not used to stuff on the news having to do with people I actually know. That's like all of us, right? Like, we see stuff on the news, like even just looking at the articles that we looked in yesterday's stream, like those are real people. Like, they could find this video, like their children, their grandchildren can find this video and hear us talking about them and be like, whoa, like they're talking about the people I know, right? Like that's a weird feeling. And you don't normally think about that when you watch TV. It's like the same as everything else you see on TV. It's not like people you actually know, except right now, right? Because most of you actually know me. So it's almost like, I don't know. Anyway, now I'm just getting weird, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't really see it as like a serious crisis because her friends are just looking at it like, oh, it's another news story. It's another thing that is catching everybody's attention. When for Sydney, it's her real life and she has to deal with it like every day. She has to wake up and go to school and deal with it. The other thing that's really concerning at the end of this part is when she says she's turning into her sister, a walking, talking buzzkill. It makes me wonder how Sydney is feeling, right? Like, all of this stuff is mounting up. And how was Laura at the beginning of this book? Laura was suicidal, right? She did not feel like she could go on. This could lead Sydney down the same path, right? Like, having to get up day after day and hearing all these people talk about this and all this drama and all this conversation, all this stuff. Like, it can weigh on you. It can make you feel like you don't want to continue on. And it's kind of like I don't know, it's a little bit scary foreshadowing stuff. I'm working on my homework later that afternoon when I get a text from Liam. Need to talk. Can you meet me in the tree fort? My thumbs hesitate over my phone. Part of me is still mad at him and wants to stay that way because it's easier than trying to figure out the mess of feelings I have for him if I'm not. Oh, Aww. She just said she might have feelings for him. Also, if there are any press people lurking around and they catch a picture of us together, I can't even think about that. But the other part of me, the one that feels so incredibly alone in this insanity, that part wins out. Okay, be there in 5. I finish the problem I was working on, then go brush my hair and put on lip gloss. Even though it's only Liam and I'm just meeting him in the tree fort. So why am I bothering? I wonder why, Sydney. I wonder why. Slipping out the back door, checking for camera people, but they seem to be congregated around the front of the house. Still, I keep to the back of the yard and detour around the rusty swing set that none of us use anymore, just in case. Liam's already there when I climb up into the tree fort. It's dusk, and there's no electricity up here, so he's lit a few candles. In their flickering glow, I can see the fort is noticeably cleaner and less cobwebby than the last time I was here. Oh, he cleaned up for her? He cleaned up for her. I love that emo, Macho Man. That's so true. It looks cleaner up here. Yeah, he says. You should see me with a feather duster. The spiders were quaking in their webs. Well, it's a lot nicer being up here without getting them in my hair, that's for sure. And then we just look at each other in an awkward silence. I break eye contact first, unsure of what to make of what I see there. Uh-oh. What do you see there, Sydney? Sid, I feel bad about this morning. You know, on the bus. I meet his gaze again. His green eyes glow, reflecting candlelight. And what I hope is, honesty. I nod, afraid to say anything, and then he reaches over and takes my hand, warming my cold fingers. Aww. We're going to be doing that a lot. I totally get it that this was all Bree's fault and my mom's. I really do. I know that because of what they did, he swallows, and I'm temporarily distracted by his Adam's apple, so it's not until I look back into his eyes that I realize how upset he is about this. Almost died, and I get how sick that is. Then he kind of tugs my hand, pulling me toward him, and we are in an awkward hug. I'm suddenly aware of how close his lips are to mine, and I wonder if Liam wants to kiss me, because I want to kiss him. Sorry. And then he's leaning in, a brush of lips soft and warm on mine, and the candle in between us, like a warning that I might get burned. Ooh. I pull away and bite my lip. I wanted that kiss. Yeah, that's right. They're kissing up. Oh, in the tree. Oh my God. They're literally KISSING in the tree, you guys, Sydney and Liam. I pull away and bite my lip. I wanted that kiss, but this is all just so messed up. My first kiss ever. And it's with Liam Connors, whose sister almost caused my sister to die. I know how hard things must be for you, Sid. I just wanted you to understand that things are pretty messed up at our house too. I know, I say, and I know it's not your fault, I sigh. They're going to just move on. They're not going to talk about how the fact that they just kissed. They're not going to like, oh, hey, well, so we kissed. So, what does that mean? Like, they're just going to keep having a conversation. Okay, cool. We'll just move on. I sigh. Are you still getting the death threat calls? We haven't plugged the phones back in yet, Liam says. We're not going until we've changed the phone number to an unlisted one. But in the meantime, someone hacked Dad's business website and redirected it to a porn site? Ew, that's disgusting. It's more than disgusting. It's shut down his online business until he can get someone to fix it, Liam says, not to mention how it's hurting the reputation of his store. He says this could end up ruining everything he's worked for his entire life because Mom and Bree were idiots. What does he want from me? Sympathy? Comfort? Understanding? Bet that went down well with Mary Jo, I say. Liam laughs bitterly. Oh yeah, I'm surprised you couldn't hear the shouting from your house. He moves the index finger of his free hand back and forth through the tip of the candle flame. Stop, I exclaim. Doesn't that hurt? This? He asks, doing it again, grinning. No, try it. I shake my head. I already feel like it's dangerous enough being up here with him. Kissing him even. I don't need to make it even more real by sticking my finger through a flame. Okay, just pause real quick. This is really interesting because like we get a little bit of like information about what's going on with Liam and Bree's dad. And this is so horrifying. This is so horrible, right? His dad doesn't even know that Bree did this. He did not even know his wife did this. And his business is suffering, like seriously. Like this is so wrong. Like I can't imagine. And then Liam's saying like I'm surprised you couldn't hear their shouting from your house, right? Like obviously this is not going to bode well for his parents' relationship. Like how can it? How can they move on from this? This is like, wow, this is like really awful. I spent a lot of time doing this up here last night when mom and dad were fighting and the phones kept ringing off the hook and Bree was crying, Liam says, running his finger through the flame again. He looks back to me from the flame. We have to change all our phone numbers. They haven't hacked my cell yet, but the police said they could sooner or later. So dad's canceling everything tomorrow. That sucks, I tell him. It does suck for him about the phone because it's a pain to have to change numbers. And I feel bad for Mr. Connors because it wasn't like he was pretending to be Christian DeWitt either. But I slide my fingers out of Liam's, unsure of how he'll react to what I'm about to say. Uh-oh. The thing is, Liam, it's no picnic at our house either. Lara's a mess, and we have to tiptoe around her in case she relapses. My dad, well, his being on the news, going psycho on your lawn in his PJs, that was fun. Liam laughs until he realized that I wasn't trying to be funny, and his smile fades. And then there's Mom, who's desperately trying to figure out how to salvage her election campaign because having an emotionally damaged daughter and a psycho husband ruins her perfect wife and mother cred, don't you think? Do you think she'll withdraw? I laugh. Kathy Kelly withdraw? As if. My mom doesn't withdraw. She just figures out a new angle. And this is so true. This is what politicians do. Honestly, I really don't think that her election campaign is going to suffer that much because, okay, yeah, emotionally damaged daughter. I feel like people are going to be more like willing to have sympathy toward her and want to give her like, I don't know, they're going to feel more positive about Kathy Kelly than they would about Bree's mom, obviously. So I feel like they would have a more like sympathetic view of her, like of having, this happen to her daughter. Like that's really serious. Like that's the new angle I feel like she could spin it to. As far as like her husband, like going crazy on the front lawn, I don't think you can spin that anyway, but like it's understandable, right? If you dig into the whole story, if you understand the whole story of her family, like obviously it makes sense of why her dad or why her husband would do this. So, I feel like she's not gonna, I really honestly feel like I've read the book, but I still thinking about it this way. I don't think that her campaign would suffer in real life. I just don't think it would. In fact, she might even get more attention, like she might even get more people coming out to vote for her just because she's on the news, No publicity is bad publicity, they say. Liam smiles. I thought I was the world's most cynical teen, but apparently not. It's you, Sid. I wonder if he'll kiss me again. Oh, Sydney, calm down. Do you ever wish you could change your name or be adopted by another family, I ask? A normal family? Like one that isn't in the newspapers or in the national news or doesn't have to pretend to be perfect because they're running for public office? Or isn't doing screwed up things like setting up fake Facebook profiles and almost causing their former best friend to kill herself? Yeah, that kind of family, I agree. One that does normal stuff together, like have barbecues and build tree forts, like our families used to do before everything got screwed up. Do you think life can ever get back to normal after this? Liam asks. Or will I always be the son of Monster Mom? And will I always be the sister of the girl who tried to kill herself over the fake Facebook guy? I say. With all these news stories being online, we can't even go off to college and escape this now. It's going to follow us wherever we go. And that is the truth. Like, that is such the truth. Like it's going to follow you, right? Like anytime you apply for a job and someone Googles your name, like these are the stories that are going to come up about you, like there's of course time, will eventually bury them. Like eventually like time it's going to get too old and it's not going to be a part of your story anymore. But like, they're what, 7th grade? So they're like 5-6 years away from college. So, I mean, that might be enough time. There might be enough stuff to like bury it in that time, but I still feel like it's gonna hang on to them wherever they go, you know, like even if they don't know who they are and they hear the name, oh, I remember that. Weren't you the girl? Weren't you the kid who was the sister? Blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to let Bree's stupidity ruin the rest of my life. I'm not going to let Bree's stupidity ruin the rest of my life, Liam says. I'm going to do something so amazing that people will remember me for being me, not because I'm her brother. Then he laughs ruefully. The problem is I haven't figured out what that amazing thing is yet. Liam's so brave and determined that I don't doubt for a second that he'll do it. You will, I tell him, taking his hand. I know you will. He smiles at me and shifts over so he's sitting next to me. Then he puts his arm around my shoulder and I snuggle next to him, resting my head on his shoulder. We sit looking at the flickering candle flame, just being there in our little treehouse of sanity.
Aww.
So sweet. So sweet, Sydney and Liam. So cute. Literally sitting in the tree, Kassing. Okay, Laura, I hate the gratitude list. I hate Linda's office. I hate Linda. Days like today, I wish the pills had worked so I wouldn't be stuck sitting here in this stupid office talking about the stupid gratitude list with my stupid therapist. Right, Macho Man, they're together secretly. I didn't even think about that, right? Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. What's their families going to say when they find them out together? It's like a literal secret romance that they have going on right now. Wow, that's going to be a whole new drama bomb when they find out. Oh my God, it just keeps getting worse. Okay. I'm sure the last few days haven't been easy for you with this being all over the news, Linda says. How are you feeling? If I were feeling good, would I be forced to come here to see you, shrink lady? Okay, I guess. I don't want to talk to her today. I don't want to be in her faux homey room with all the well-worn toys that are supposed to fool messed up kids into thinking that they're not being therapized. But therapists don't get paid big bucks to give up easily. How have things been at home? What, since Dad got cited for disturbing the peace in his pajamas and they had video footage of him on the news? Oh, Mom's thrilled about that, I tell her, trying not to sound too bitterly sarcastic, because that just convinces her that I'm still messed up and I need even more time in therapy. It does wonders for her election campaign. So your parents are fighting. I should have kept my mouth shut. Every time I open my mouth, I inadvertently give her more clues about what's wrong with Laura. Parents fight. There's nothing abnormal about that. She stops writing on her notepad. It worries me when she scribbles notes about the stuff that comes out of my mouth. I'm always wondering what it was I said that was so pad-worthy. Have they been fighting more than they usually do? I guess, I admit. Just another thing that's my fault. What makes you say that? Because all the stuff they fight about, none of it would have happened if I hadn't been stupid enough to talk to Christian. You know, I wasn't an idiot enough to believe that someone that hot could like someone like me. The therapist is scribbling again. There's this weird, I don't know. I would love to hear like an actual therapist talk about this, but I feel like every time I watch movies or read books, the therapists this is always how they are described. They are always described as scribbling on their notepads and like giving you this feeling of judgment. But to be honest, when I've gone to a therapist, it's never been like that. Honestly, it's never been like, oh, I feel judged and they're scribbling away on their pencil. Like usually it's like they're just talking. I mean, maybe they were making notes, maybe, but like I feel like that was just to keep track of like our conversation, because you have to think like a therapist sees more than one person, right? It's not like they're your best friend and they're only there for you. I mean, maybe they are, but like they have other clients, right? So it's not like they have to like they can remember everything. I mean, I can't remember everything, certainly. So I imagine that a therapist wouldn't be able to either. And I don't know, like saying like Laura is doing a lot of the projecting here, right? You know, like she says, every time I open my mouth, I inadvertently give her more clues about what's wrong with Laura. But like the therapist in this situation is not trying to find out what's wrong with you. the therapist in the situation is trying to find out, like, what patterns do you have that are like negative? This is a negative pattern for Laura, right? Assuming that this is about what's wrong with her and how she needs to be fixed and all this kind of stuff, right? Like, this is negative self-talk. This is stuff that's making her feel bad, like Laura herself feel bad. It's not anything that the therapist is saying or doing. It's just stuff that she's like piling on herself. Hi, Juan. Welcome. We just got started, and hopefully I'm not going to pull the plug on my computer with my foot on accident. That would be so unfortunate. Okay, let's keep going. Laura, can you tell me what did Christian give you? Linda asks. What part of he didn't even exist doesn't she understand? Laura's slow. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say this right now. Sydney is younger than her and like just gets it like right off the bat. And Laura, it feels like Laura and Bree are just like slow. I don't know. Maybe it's like being a teenager, your intellect kind of starts to revert, but like it does seem like Sydney is like so super smart, like super, super advanced. And Laura is like not, you know, I don't know. It's just my feeling. Like every time I read Laura, I feel like she's like just a little bit not fully comprehending the world around her. It's probably because she's so wrapped up in herself. I think that is something that is definitely wrong with Laura, is that she really does think that everyone is out to get her, which is really sad. It's unfortunate. He didn't give me anything, I say. He was Bree and her mom doing this for whatever messed up reason they had for doing it. Giving me presents definitely wasn't one of them. She doesn't mean literally, right? She means like, what does he do for, like, what was the thing that he, like the hole that he filled for you? Like, what was that need that he gave you? Obviously, that's what she means. Whatever. I'm just, sorry. I'm going to keep going. Linda takes a deep breath, like I would, and leans back in her chair. I get the feeling that today, at least, I'm annoying her as much as she annoys me. Yay, we're even. I'm not talking about presents, Laura. I'm asking you to think about what you got from those chats emotionally, she says. It must have been something, or you wouldn't have kept chatting with him over a period of weeks. She leans forward again, and the tight grip of her fingers around the pen betrays her frustration with me. So you must have gotten something from your interactions, even if he did turn out to be a fictional friend. We talked about stuff, I say. Like what? She asks. What kind of stuff? I don't know. School? Our families? Although I guess Bree was lying about his, like everything else, because the people he was describing weren't even the Connorses. What was it about Christian that made you feel so attached to him? It's too humiliating to admit, even to just her and these four walls, that I couldn't believe such a hot guy was interested in me. That was just what made me do something I knew I wasn't supposed to do, friending someone I didn't know in real life in the first place. But his looks weren't what made me feel close to him. It was how he listened to me, I tell her. He made me feel I miss him. Without warning, the realization hits me. It's like a piece of me cracks, and then I'm sobbing, deep and shuddering sobs that rack my body so hard it hurts my chest. She's taken her shrinky flashlight and pointed it into the dark corners of my mind, shining a light on the last thing in the world I wanted to think about or talk about. By making me even consider for a moment how much I miss Christian, she's opened the floodgates on all the pain I've been trying with every ounce of my being not to feel. And I hate her even more for doing it. She gets up from her chair and hands me the box of tissues, even though they're on the table right next to me. I take one, and then another, and then another. Are there enough tissues in that box, in the entire universe, to soak up all the pain I have inside? Linda is back in her chair with pen and notepad good to go, waiting for my sobs to slow to sniffles. When I've blown my nose into the 11th tissue, she says, "That brought up some strong emotions. What are you feeling right now?" I use tissue number 12 to wipe the mascara from under my eyes, which I'm sure are raccoon-like from all the tears. It also gives me a reason to delay answering the question. I've grown to hate in all its variations. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? I feel sad, I sniff. Why? I should have known she wouldn't let it go at that. Because, I hesitate, How do I admit I miss a person who never really existed? That's going to make me sound even crazier than everyone already thinks I am. You probably won't understand. Try me, she says. It's hard to know who I can trust anymore. I'm afraid to trust anyone. But I figure she's bound by doctor-patient confidentiality. And the truth is, there's no one else I can really talk to about Christian. This is the point. This is the point of going to therapy, is to talk about things you cannot talk about with other people, right? Is to talk to somebody about something that you don't feel comfortable talking to your parents about, or your friends about, or your siblings about, or your other family members about, right? Like it's someone who's going to listen to you, who's just going to like not have any like feelings or judgment about it, right? Like that's the whole point of a therapist, is be able to tell them things that you don't tell other people. I don't know. But I figure anyway, I know this is going to sound crazy because he wasn't even a real person, but I miss Christian. I miss him a lot. I swallow, willing myself not to start crying again. And when I feel that, when I'm alone in my bedroom crying because I miss him and I feel so lonely, I know I'm the stupidest girl who ever existed. I tell her, because he was Bree or her mom, and none of the nice things they made him say were even true. Feelings just are, Laura, she says. It doesn't do you any good to judge yourself for having them. But how can you miss a fake person? I argue. It's not the person you miss, she says. It was what he gave you emotionally. I start ripping the tissue into little pieces in my lap as I consider what she's said. What do you miss the most about your chats? How did chatting with him make you feel? And then I can't stop the tears again, as I'm once again hit with the emptiness and the loss. He made me feel special, I sob, like I was actually worth something. She lets me cry without probing further, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm allowed to experience these feelings without her making me analyze them anymore, because right now I'm just exhausted for having them. Laura, she says, and her voice is softer and gentler than it has ever been before. You are worth something. Maybe we need to work on you owning that before you get into more relationships. I shake my head. How do I own something I can't see? That's what we're going to work on, she says, helping you to see your strengths. I think it's a useless exercise because I don't have any strengths, but she sounds so confident about the possibility of it happening that I feel a tiny whiff of hope, as faint as the breeze from a butterfly wing. Even that is a step up from the utter despair I've felt ever since Christian told me the world would be better off without me in it. Is this progress? Yes. But like, it's just a little bit, right? So this whole interaction with her therapist is really telling about Laura, and it also is telling about all of us. Like, I hope that you can kind of put yourself in Laura's shoes for a minute here and think about a person who makes you feel like that, right? Like maybe they're real, like maybe they're a real person who makes you feel like that. But here's the thing, right? When you do that, when you put all of your worth into someone else, into how someone else thinks about you, when they let you down, and I say when they let you down because it's inevitable, right? They're a person themselves, right? They can't carry all the weight of your worth, right? Even your parents sometimes, right? Like your parents, if they make you feel special, they make you feel worthy, you're going to grow up eventually and you're going to realize your parents are people too, right? They have their own things that they're dealing with. So when you put all of that onto somebody else, you're asking them to continuously make you feel that way. And they can't do that. They can't do that. That's not their job, right? A therapist maybe, but even then you still have to learn how to put that in on yourself, how to feel that in yourself and give yourself that feeling. Hey, Francesca, we're here and we're learning real life lessons. So don't go away. Mom is on her cell in the waiting room when I get out. We walk out of the office when I push the elevator button. She shakes her head and points to the stairs, gesturing to the phone. It's Nightline, she mouths. Oh no, not more TV. I try to tune out as we walk down the 3 flights of stairs, but it's hard to avoid the sound of Mom's overloud cell phone voice in the echoey stairwell. Yes, it really is sick. And as a parent, one of the most frustrating things is that there's no adequate legal remedy available, Mom says. That's why I'm planning to work with existing anti-bullying organizations to lobby for Lara laws, trying to persuade states to add specific cyberbullying language to their existing bullying statutes. I stop so abruptly, Mom almost trips over me on the stairs. What are you talking about? Lara laws? I hiss. She mutes her phone. Wait till I'm done, she says. I'll explain everything. I don't want to wait. It's my name she's tossing around here. I don't want my name on a law. I want it all to go away so I can try to forget it ever happened. But Mom, she waves her hand at me to be quiet, and I turn and stomp down the rest of the stairs as noisily as I can, making sure to slam the door at the bottom. The brisk autumn air outside the building does nothing to cool my anger. Neither does the length of time I have to wait by the car as Mom stands in the lobby finishing her phone call. By the time she comes out to the car, I'm fuming. Mom acts like nothing happened. I get in the car and slam my door. So you're going to tell me about what these Lara laws are about, or am I supposed to find out by watching Nightline? Mom starts the car and backs to the space like I haven't even spoken. It strikes me that maybe there's a good reason I feel like I don't matter. Here we go. She's figuring it out. Good job, Laura. Note to Linda. Earth to Mother. Why are you using my name without my permission? I have a right to know what this is all about. I'll tell you what this is all about, Mom says, her voice calm and even. It's about helping you and other kids like you. It's about making sure that if any adult as sick as Mary Jo Connors, there are legal ramifications to make sure she ends up behind bars. Mom says this is about me, but it isn't. It's about her. If it were about me, she would have told me sooner. I would have been a part of it. Instead, I'm just the convenient excuse for her next political project. There we go. What did I say earlier, right? Laura's mom's going to find a new way to make this about to fix her election campaign. Right. Like now she's going to go to bat for her daughter. She's going to look like she's an awesome mom because she's going out and making laws to try and protect kids from bullying, from cyberbullying. Right. And I do think that this is a real thing. I talked about this in the last stream about like certain like laws protecting online sites and people online and what they do online and stuff like that. And this is one of those situations. So in the state that they live in, Mary Jo Connors, the person, Bree's mom, who is mainly somewhat responsible for Laura's attempted suicide, she won't go to jail, right? They can't charge her with a criminal act. Laura didn't die. Mrs. Connors didn't actually say the words that caused Laura to kill herself. And there's not like at this point in time, at least, there's not like a law that stops people from doing this. So it's a really awesome moment for Laura's mom to kind of put this in her election campaign and make it and ramp it up and make everybody be like, yeah, go Kelly, go Kathy Kelly for city council. Call it something else, I say. I don't want it named after me. The only sign Mom gives that I've pissed her off is how tightly her hands clench the steering wheel. What else would we call it? She asks. How about the psycho parents law, I suggest. My mother is not amused. I'm doing everything I know how to help you, Laura. It would be nice to have a little appreciation once in a while, Mom snaps. If this is really about helping me, how come you didn't ask my opinion first? I say. Why didn't you even tell me about it? Mom doesn't respond right away. Her eyes remain on the road ahead. That's telling. Her lips are tightly compressed. In my imagination, I can hear the cogs of her brain working, coming up with a way to frame this that she thinks will play best to the angry teen daughter constituent. Laura, honey, you've been in a fragile state since your hospitalization. We've been trying to protect you. The last thing Daddy or I want to do is cause you more anxiety when you're in such a delicate state of mind. Really, Mom? You thought that using my name for some new law you want to get passed without asking me about it was going to help my delicate state of mind? Of course I was going to talk to you about it, Laura, Mom says. Yeah, after you talk to freaking Nightline and the rest of the country. Mom doesn't say anything for a moment. When she does speak, her voice cracks like she's on the verge of tears. I'm doing the best I can here, Laura. You're my daughter. These people hurt you so badly that you tried to kill yourself. And the police and the prosecutor are telling us that their hands are tied because of the existing laws. I can't just sit here and do nothing. And I had to consider your mental health. I might be depressed and confused, Mom, but I'm not a baby. I tell her, I don't want you to use my name. I'm never going to be able to put this behind me if you're going on nationwide TV talking about Laura laws, am I? Making sure this doesn't happen to other people can help you put it behind you, Laura, Mom says, and now I see a tear rolling down her cheek. But somehow knowing that she's hurting too, and it's my stupidity that made it happen, doesn't make me any less angry, only more. No, Mom, it'll help you put it behind you. Not me, you. Stop pretending this Laura laws thing has anything to do with me. We ride home the rest of the way in silence, the distance between us much wider than the front seats of the car. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Laura should be angry in this situation? Do you think Mom shouldn't be using Laura's name in this law? What are you guys thinking right now? I feel like Laura's mom should be a little bit more aware, because I do think that her intention, yes, I think she does have the intention of keeping Laura safe. I think that's true. But yes. Okay. So Laura is right to be angry. Okay, cool. I agree. Like, I think that her mom obviously is coming from a place of like, I want to help you. I want to protect you. I want to make sure this doesn't happen again. I think that's all true. But I think also Laura's mom has this ulterior motive to like make it a part of her next campaign, like to get it to ramp up, to like spin this into a positive thing, which is what politicians do. And I think Laura's right. Laura is definitely calling out her mom here, saying like, this is not going to help me let this go. Like, this is going to help you, right? You decided that you were going to do this. You went out and called it Laura laws without consulting me. This is not about me. And she's absolutely right. It's not about Laura. It's totally about her mom, right? Her mom probably has some guilt about letting this happen. And at the same time is like really worried about her election campaign and is like hoping that she can kind of like, feed two birds with one stone, right? Like get the election back up and maybe feel better about having a daughter that almost committed suicide, right? Like there's some ulterior motives here. And I agree with Laura. I'm on Laura's side. I think she totally has a right to be angry with her mom about this, especially since her mom didn't even ask her, right? Like didn't even ask her for her permission to call it the Laura law. I need to escape from Mom when I get home, so I take my book and my Snuggie and go out to the patio, even though it's cold. I'd rather freeze in solitude than be warm in the house with her. It works for a little while, but then I'm distracted by voices. I look up and see my sister climbing down the ladder of the old tree fort. Oh my gosh, Bree didn't find out first. It was Laura. But she wasn't up there alone, because following her down the wooden rungs is Liam Connors. Isn't there a single person in this world I can trust anymore? He touches her cheek tenderly before they part, and Sid smiles up at him, her face glowing and happy.
Aww.
That's so sweet. It makes me want to throw up. Okay, Laura. That's pretty funny. I grab my Snuggie and book and run up to my room. Why should I care about the stupid rules when everyone else in the world is breaking them? I close the door and throw myself onto the bed, crying into my pillow so no one will hear. Betrayal is only part of the sadness. The worst part, and it's painful to admit this even to myself, is that I'm jealous. Oh no, Laura. I'm jealous that she has what I thought I had with Christian, a relationship with a boy who cares about her for real, not pretend. I'm crying into my pillow because it'll never happen to me now, because of Liam's sister and his mom, and because I was stupid enough to think that it could happen to me in the first place. Jealousy rearing its ugly head again. This time, Laura is feeling it to her own sister. Obviously, she's not jealous about Liam, right? It's not like she wants to like date Liam. That's weird, right? But she's jealous of the fact that her sister is getting into a relationship. And that's what Laura wanted to have, right? Like that's something that she thought she was going to have. And this probably is really like damaging, right? Like she had hoped about this relationship. She had kind of like had this whole idea of this relationship in her head, and it's boom, poof, gone. It's not real. And now she probably feels like, of course, right? It's never going to happen for me. I'm never going to have a good relationship like this because no guy is ever going to want to be with me. Which is like, it's valid. It's totally valid. It's just not right? Like it just feels that way, you know? Exactly. With a real person, with a real human being who's standing right in front of them. So it sucks for Laura. It really does, because I think that she is really like it does set her back in that way, you know, like, and it's probably going to makes her feel worse, right? Because now she's like seeing other people have these happy relationships, and it's hard when you don't, right? I know, you know, I've been there, and I know what it's like, but you can't let that be the thing that you focus on, you know, because it's unfortunately true about this. And, you know, so many people told me this when I was growing up, and I didn't fully realize it until it happened, but it's so freaking true. It's like when you are constantly thinking about being in a relationship, and you're like, oh, I just want to be in a relationship. I just want to be in a relationship. I just want to have a boyfriend. I just want to have a girlfriend. Like, I just want to be with somebody. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, you just are automatically like, it's not an attractive quality to desire that thing so much, because it's weird. I can't explain it. It's not like you can like see it in people, but it's like this weird vibe that when you feel that way, you give off in those situations. And so people are not like, it's like the vibe of desperation almost. And it's like, you know, I'm not feeling that, right? Like that's weird. But once you let that go, like once you let that idea go, like of like, oh, I love myself. I like being alone, or I like hanging out with my friends. Like I don't need to be in a relationship to feel good about myself. That's when you start becoming more attractive. Like that's when people start wanting to be around you and wanting to hang out with you and wanting to date you. It's the weirdest paradox in the entire world, but it is so true. And I've seen it happen so many times. It's happened to me, right? Like I was, when I was young, when I was Laura's age, I wanted to be in a relationship so bad, right? Like I just wanted to date somebody, and it never happened. And it just like never occurred for me until one day I stopped. I was like, no, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need a relationship. I can just be me. I can just enjoy myself. And that was it. That was the flip of the switch. And it was suddenly like I had a whole bunch of dates, right? Like I had a whole bunch of people who wanted to go on dates with me. And it's crazy. Like it's a really weird paradox, but it is so true. And it sucks that Laura's in this situation, because it just means that it's gonna keep happening, right? She's never gonna feel accomplished. She's never gonna feel like she's gonna have that relationship because she wants it so badly. It's like, why? Why does that happen? I don't know, but it is. It's an actual scientific fact. Look it up. Okay. I'll wait till they're all sitting together at dinner table before I casually mention that Sid was hanging out in the tree fort with Liam earlier. Oh, she's gonna drop the bomb on her parents. Dad chokes on his casserole. His face turns reddish purple, and I have to thump him between the shoulder blades to dislodge the food. What the heck are you thinking, Sydney? He explodes when he's finally able to get air back in his lungs. What possessed you to talk to the Connors boy after what they did to Laura? It's so funny that her dad is like they, right? He's like lumping them all together just like everybody else. Liam didn't do anything, Sid protests. He's just caught up in this mess because of his crazy family, just like me. My parents glance at me to see how I'm taking that, because obviously I have to be the crazy family she's referring to, right? It couldn't possibly have anything to do with them. Sydney, Dad says in a warning tone, but Sid's on a roll. Why shouldn't I see him? He's my friend. Where's the rule that says we have to stop being friends just because of Laura and Bree? It's not that, Mom explains in her diplomatic politician voice. But surely you can see it's awkward under the circumstances. Yeah, circumstances that neither Liam or I had anything to do with, Sid says. And just like always, we're supposed to go along with the program just because you guys say so. She slams her knife and fork down on the table. Well, forget that, she shouts, pushing her chair back and standing up. Just because you're all screwed up, why should Liam and I suffer? She storms out of the room, crashes up the stairs, and slams her door so hard it rattles the light fixture. Pete, you have to talk to her, Mom says. She can't keep associating with Liam. Not now. Can you imagine what would happen if the press got wind of it? Again, what is Mom thinking about? Her campaign, her election. I remember the look on Sid's face when I saw her and Liam together earlier. My sister and Liam are friends, but they're more than that. Oh, Laura can tell. And even though I'm jealous, even though what she has highlights everything that I lost when Christian turned on me and I found out he wasn't real, I don't want to take that from her. Okay, good for you, Laura, being the bigger person. That's right. No, I say suddenly, Sid's right. My parents stare at me. You'd think I'd suddenly grown a third head. Maybe I have. Wait a minute. And this time I finally got one with a working brain. Does she have two heads? Where's her second head? Does Laura have two heads? Did I read that wrong? Is that weird? Did anybody else read that way? I just read that and I'm like, a third head? Wait a minute. Do you have two? Is this an alternate reality where people have two heads? They never mentioned that. That's weird. None of the character portraits you guys drew in class had two heads. I'm saying maybe that was that thing that we overlooked. Okay, well, that was weird. We'll come back to it. This whole thing has been so messed up for everyone, for me, for Mom, for Dad, for Sid. Maybe until now, until I am admitted to missing Christian today, I've been so wrapped up in my own misery, how much I'm hurting, that it was the only thing I could see. Christian may have been fake. Okay, so at least she's realizing it, right? I've been so wrapped up in myself. Good job, Laura. You're figuring it out. Christian may have been fake, but one thing he said about me was true. I'm not a good friend. Thinking back, I can start to see what he meant. I don't want to, but it's there. Especially with Bree. Oh no. And it hits me that maybe she tried to tell me, but I just wouldn't listen. Oh my God, she's figuring it out. Like there was this one night when we were in 8th grade, I got back from a really bad day at the therapist and I was complaining to Bree about how I hated school, my parents, and basically my entire life. We heard this from Bree already. We know what happened. She didn't say anything while I cried about my awful day and even more awful life. When I finally stopped, she says, "It sucks that you're going through all this, Laura, but did you ever think of asking me how my day went?" Exactly. We remember this from the very beginning of the book. Bree mentioned timing Laura about how long she would spend on the phone with her crying about her life. And Bree apparently did say something to Laura, right? Like did say, "Are you going to ever ask me about my day? Like, here I am. Like, I'm listening to all you do say all this stuff. Like, you just came from the therapist where you probably talked about it all there too. Like, are you going to reciprocate?" At the time, I just got mad. I thought she didn't care about me and that she just didn't understand how bad things were. I was so upset I hung up on her. But now I realize that Bree had a point. The same one that Sid made at dinner. I've been wrapped up in my own pain for so long, I haven't paid much attention to anyone else's. Even the people who care about me the most, or those who used to. But I can start to change that tonight, right here, right now, by standing up for my sister. Maybe that can maybe that can be my way of starting to move forward. The way trying to make a new law is for Mom. It's not Liam's fault, I say. He's a victim too, like me, like Sid. You can't blame him for what Bree did or what his mom did. Mom and Dad exchange a glance. Apparently, it means that Dad should do the talking. "We know that, honey," Dad says, "but it's a complex situation. What's so complex about Liam and Sid wanting to stay friends? They really like each other." Mom looks at me sharply. "You mean like? As in a crush?" she asks. "Maybe, or maybe just friends. I don't know." Mom shakes her head, rubbing her temple. "This is all I need. The visuals of my daughter dating the son of the woman who cyberbullied you while I'm calling for legislation to make it a criminal offense." Oh my God. Mom, what is going on with Laura's mom? Like her daughter is having an actual literal breakthrough. By the way, can we just say this is why therapy works? Laura had a breakthrough during her therapy session earlier in this day, right? Where she literally sobs all her feelings out and finally realizes what, why Christian was so, why she misses him so much, like what was so important about that relationship. And now she's like having this other mental breakthrough. Like she's like actually growing from this, right? She's saying like, oh, maybe I am not a good friend. Maybe that's true. Maybe I am not a good friend. Maybe I was bad friend to Bree. Maybe I've been a bad sister. Maybe I've been a bad daughter to these people in my life because I've just been so caught up in myself. Kind of like the way her mom is all caught up in herself and her campaign, right? Learned behavior. And that's when I can't take it for another minute longer. Visuals? Did you ever hear yourself, Mom? Do you even hear yourself, Mom? We're your daughters, not props for your political photo ops. That's not what I meant. But I don't stay around to hear her explanation of what she meant. I'm already halfway up the stairs. I'm going to talk to Sydney to apologize for ratting her out and to see if I can make it up to her somehow. This is good. I've got one more line. Even if I can't make it up for the past, I can try to do better in the future. Oh my gosh. Yay. I love it. I love books like this, you guys. I love when the characters are better, like they become better. Like that's my favorite thing. Seriously, honestly. Sydney, I've got my headphones on and I'm blasting music that matches the beat of all the angry words in my head. Now I know why people punch walls and things. Not that I'd do that because I can imagine how much it would hurt. Plus my parents would freak if I damaged the wall or my hand. But I've got so much mad. I'm not sure the 4 walls of my room can contain it. And maybe punching a hole in the wall would let it out. Or maybe I could climb to the top of a really tall mountain and just scream and scream until I lost my voice. The problem is, despite its name, Lake Hills is pretty flat. It should be called Lake Hills Slope or Lake Mounds. Hills is really stretching it. Whatever you call this place, my life in it is unfair, and I'm so sick of it. And just when I had something good happen in all the awfulness, guess who ruined it as usual? Laura, of course, because that's what she does. I'm starting to wonder if her goal in life is to ruin mine. Aw. No, it just took her a long time to get there, Sydney. I'm sorry. You're a little bit more advanced than your sister. The music turned up so loud, I don't hear her come in. So when she touches me to get my attention, I shout in surprise. Yeah, Macho Man, right. They become smart, finally, right? Like they have realizations. They're dynamic. That's the word. They're dynamic characters. Love it. I love when that happens. The music's turned up so loud. I already read that part. Geez, Laura, do you ever hear of knocking? I say, pulling the headphones out and pausing the music. I did knock, but you didn't hear me. Laura gestures to the headphones. She has a point. What do you want? I ask, unwilling to concede anything because I'm so mad at her. Can I sit down? She asks. I guess, I agree, reluctantly sliding over, but only a little so she has to perch on a little corner at the end of the bed. Sid, I want to say I'm sorry, really sorry, for everything. I'm not sure I can believe what I'm hearing. My older sister is apologizing to me? What do you mean? She looks at me, confused. What I said, that I'm sorry. What is she sorry for? For ratting me out to mom and dad? For trying to kill herself? For making me miss auditions for Beauty and the Beast? For the fact that everything ends up being about her in this house? Wait, did mom tell you to do this? What? Laura seems genuinely surprised. I asked. Why would you even think that? She asks, her cheeks flushing. I shrug. Maybe because the only times you've ever apologized to me in my life are when mom made you? Laura flinches and her eyes glaze with tears. I wonder if she's going to turn and run or do that thing she does where she disappears into Lara land. But she doesn't. She lifts her chin and says, well, she didn't make me this time. I decided to do it myself. I wanted to do it. And then she takes my reluctant hand and squeezes hard until I look her in the eye. When I do, she repeats, I'm sorry, Sid, for everything. I mean it. I know things have been hard for you because of me. I'm sorry. Who are you and what have you done with Laura? I hope someday I can make it up to you, Laura says. A tear traces its way down her cheek. All these tears on all these cheeks, you guys. We literally had a tear on every single chapter. Every single chapter we've read so far, there have been tears down people's cheeks. Just saying. And I feel like she just punched a hole in the wall for me, but with her words instead of her fist, because the anger inside me begins to escape. I say, thanks, and I sit up and I hug her. My sister has said I'm sorry to me so many times, but this time is the one that matters most. This time, she means it.
Aww.
They're becoming sisters again. They're becoming close again. I love this. There's so many positive things that are happening. I can't imagine if there's something bad about to happen. I don't know, you guys. I really don't know if I can take it. It has to keep being positive. Well, we might go back to Bree, so let's find out. Oh no, we're going back to Liam. Liam. Sid calls and tells me to take Dad's offer of a ride rather than fighting the press, even if it means being in the car with Bree. She says it will be less awkward than facing the looks we get if we sit together on the bus again. Oh, okay, sure, I say, but I'm gutted because I think that she's already having second thoughts about kissing me. Oh, Liam. No. I've been replaying that kiss over and over and imagining more. Oh my gosh. Okay, we don't need to hear that, Liam. We don't need to hear that. But maybe she's thinking it was all one big mistake, never to be repeated ever. But then I got into a major fight with my parents at dinner, she continues. What about? She says. Laura saw us and she snitched. Uh-oh, I say. Uh-oh is right, she says. My parents were all, what possessed you to hang out with him, Sid? It's awkward under the circumstances, Sid. And I was like, yeah, circumstances that have nothing to do with either of us. Okay, Maja Man. I smile, happy that she stood up for her parents and stood up to her parents for me. Wow, thanks. And you know what's the craziest thing of all, she says? After ratting me out to Mom and Dad, guess who then stuck up for us and said they should back off? Lara? No way. I couldn't believe it either, Sid tells me. And what's even more amazing is the talk we had afterward. She came up to my room and said she was sorry for everything I've had to go through because of her. I try to imagine my sister saying something like that. Epic fail. Seriously? I know, right? At first I was like, who are you? What have you done with Laura? I laugh. But then I realized she really meant it. And then maybe all this therapy stuff she's been doing has actually made a difference. Yeah, because it has. We talked. I mean, really talked. It was pretty cool. I wonder what it would take for Bree to apologize to me, to any of us. Most of all, to Laura and the Kellys. I wonder if I'll ever understand what makes my sister do the things she did. We dropped Bree off at the high school first the next morning. Okay, wait. We dropped Bree off at the high school first the next morning. Keep your chin up, Bree Nut, Dad says. Don't forget, go to the principal's office and call me or Mom if you have a problem. Bree still doesn't want to have a new cell. After what happened with her voicemail, she doesn't seem in a hurry to get one, which is crazy because Bree's life used to revolve around that phone. Yeah, interesting. Bree gets out of the car slowly like she's half asleep still. Hey, Bree, could you hurry up? I have to get to school too, you know, I remind her. Dad gives me a hush-up look in the rearview mirror. Bye, Bree says, shutting the car door and shuffling off, shoulders hunched and head down. Can you try to show a little compassion for your sister, Liam? Dad asks. What, like she showed for Laura? Dad's lips set into a thin, grim line in the rearview mirror. Bree did wrong, very wrong. I'm not denying that, Dad says. And she deserves some consequences. But hacking her cell phone? Death threats? She's 15 years old, Liam, and she's your sister. Can't you cut her some slack? I'm so mad at Bree, it's hard to let go of it, even though I hear what Dad's saying. But I mumble, I guess, and I'll try. That's until I hit the bathroom in between second and third period. Uh-oh. I'm at the urinal taking care of business when 4 kids from the football team walk in and Shane Perry says, Yo, it's bullying Bree's brother. Just my luck to be standing there, pants unzipped, midstream when 4 guys trap me in the bathroom. Hurry up and finish, I tell my bladder, because all I want to do is zip up and get out of there. But it keeps on coming. This is weird. Meanwhile, they walk up behind me. Steve Malloy says, "My sister's a cheerleader at the high school. She said your sister pretended to be a guy and made Laura Kelly try to kill herself." He shoves me and pee goes up the wall. "Who does that?" Steve asks. Also, who traps a kid in the bathroom while they're peeing? Also, Steve, okay? You know, who are you? You're being weird too. You're being a bully too. "Not me. And could you at least let me put my junk away before you beat me up?" I finally finish and start trying to put myself back in my pants, but Todd Adams punches my arm really hard. "Yeah," he says with emphasis. "Who does that?" "It wasn't me," I say. "It was Bree." "Whose fault it is I'm getting beat up right now." "And your mom," Joe Anderson says. "Your mom is seriously cray-cray." I managed to get put away and zipped just before Anderson and Malloy pin me against the wall. Now I'm freaking out and I'm about to get seriously messed up, and there's no way I can win 4 against 1. "That girl almost died," Adams says, pulling my hair as he gets up into my face. "Doesn't that make you feel bad, Connors?" Spittle gets on my face as he says the S in Connors. I want to throw up. "Of course it makes me feel bad," I say, trying not to gag from the spittle. "Not bad enough," Shane Perry says, and he punches me in the stomach hard, just as the bell rings for next period. Anderson and Malloy let go of my arms and split with the rest of them, and I sink to the floor, clutching my stomach and trying to breathe. All I can think of while I'm lying there is just how much I hate my sister because it's all her fault that this happened. And yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, about the cycle of violence, the cycle of bullying, the cycle of toxicity, right? Like this guy, Steve or Shane or whoever. Yes, yeah, Steve. It's one of the greasers. Oh my gosh, it's Steve from The Outsiders. No, it's not. I was joking. But Steve, right? He's like saying, who does that? Who's does that? Obviously, it wasn't Liam. It was Bree. But you are doing just as bad of a thing. Like Steve is doing just as bad of a thing to Liam for this, right? It's very ironic that they are like, "Oh, it's bullying Bree's brother." Like, you're a bully too. You're a bully too. You're being a bully right now in this situation, right? Like you're beating up a kid who is like, does not have a fair fight in this situation, right? He's 4 against 1. And then like for them to like beat him up for it is like, again, that's bullying. Like that's just as bad as what Bree did to Laura. Yeah, child abuse. Exactly. I mean, it's like, I think they go to the same school, Juan. So it's child on child abuse, but it's still child abuse for sure. And also it's bullying, right? He doesn't deserve it. And you're just being just as bad. And like, Todd Adams saying that girl almost died. Doesn't that make you feel bad? Right? Does it make you feel bad to beat up a kid who doesn't deserve it? Like there's, again, like these things like where you think, oh, this person totally deserves it. Like, but like, if you're going to act the same way as that person, you are just as bad as them, right? Like you are not put up on a nicer pedestal just because you're like getting your revenge or whatever, or you're showing the bad person how bad they are. Like you're just as bad as them. You're on their level too. So poor Liam. Feel so bad. Feel bad for Liam, feel bad for Sydney. But at least Sydney and Laura can like have a relationship now, like a sisterly relationship. At least they're coming together. I don't know if Bree and Liam are going to be able to. Bree. When I finally get to sleep, if I can sleep without dreaming, I'm able to escape for a while from the mess I've made of my life. At least she knows it was her. Not just my life, my whole family's life. When the alarm goes off to wake me for school, I turn it off, fighting off tears because I don't know if I can face another day. Yeah. I wonder if this is how Laura felt. It's exactly how Laura felt. Swinging my legs over the side of the bed, I try to summon up the energy to get moving, get up and get dressed, brush my hair, put on makeup, try to look my best on the outside, even though I feel awful on the inside. Go downstairs, eat food that tastes like nothing, even though I'm not hungry, just so Dad doesn't give me a hard time because I haven't eaten. Come on, let's go, Dad says, picking up his car keys and his briefcase. I might take the bus today, Liam mumbles, staring down into the cornflakes. Go with your father, Liam, Mom orders. There's still some press outside. I don't care, Liam says, looking up and staring Mom down defiantly. I don't want to go with them. I'll just take the bus. Bree, go wait in the car, Dad tells me. Liam just wants to take the bus so he doesn't have to be with me, right, Liam? I say. It doesn't matter why, Mom says grimly. He's not taking the bus, and that's final. Liam picks up his backpack and storms out to the garage to wait in the car, slamming the door behind him. Your brother got roughed up in the bathroom at school yesterday, Dad says. His knuckles are white around the handle of his coffee cup. 4 guys against 1. Because of... Yes, Brianna, because of the situation that you and your mother created for this family. Because the 2 of you didn't think about how the repercussions of your actions would affect all of us. Don't start with that again. Quite quiet, Mary Jo. My father doesn't shout, but I almost wish he did, because his cold, precise anger is worse than my mother's loud fire. I slump down in my seat. I'm sorry, Dad. I know you're sorry, Bree, but this is too big and it's gone way too far for I'm sorry to fix. Telling it like it is, Dad. Dad tells me Dad tells me this like it's something I don't already know, but I do. When I begged him to stay home from school, he told me that actions have consequences and I have to learn to live with them. He doesn't have to worry. I'm being taught a lesson again every single day. Marcy and Jenny aren't waiting for me out front like they usually do, so I have to walk into school alone. There's a bunch of football players and cheerleaders sitting on the wall by the front door. Don't let Ashley Trapasso be one of them. I walk past hoping they don't notice me, but they do. It's bullying Bree, Ashley calls out. Who are you and Monster Mom planning to pick on next, Bree? Don't look, just keep walking. They better not pick on anyone. It's Thomas Garcia, the quarterback of the football team. Otherwise, we're going to come over and pick on them. Other voices saying, yeah, too right, and calling me and Mom curse words. Don't look, just keep walking. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Why do they even teach us that stupid rhyme? It's such a lie. Names do hurt. So true. I'm shaking by the time I get to my locker. No one says, hi, Bree. No one says, what's up, Bree? No one asks, are you okay? It's like I've become the invisible girl, unless people want to say something bad. I see Marcy down the hallway and wave, but she turns away like she hasn't seen me. Oh, crap. Marcy, who just a couple of days ago was like on Bree's side, is now like, uh-oh, no, I'm not going to be friends with Bree. Oof, yeah, that stuff has gotten through, right? Everybody hates Bree. I also think it's interesting that Ashley is calling out for bullying Bree, right? Because Ashley and Laura are supposed to be friends now. And maybe Ashley is thinking that she's like helping Laura by being mean to Bree, but it doesn't actually help anything. Or maybe she has and she's pretending she didn't. Maybe the police finally went to her house and she's mad at me for telling. The thought of Marcy finding out makes me want to hurl. I start to wonder if I'm invisible. But as I walk to my first class and hear the names people call me, I'm reminded that people can see me all too well. That's when I start to wish I really were invisible. At lunch, I see Marcy and Jenny sitting at a table with Diane Taylor and Lena Sanchez. I go over to sit with them, but when I get to the table, Marcy looks at me and says, sorry, Bree, there's no room. She moves her chair to the side as if to emphasize the point. It's okay. I can move over if you find a chair, Jenny says. Marcy gives her a dirty look. But the look she gives me is even worse. That's when I know, without a doubt, that the police went to her house. I realize this is the end. Marcy's decided the perks of being friends with the celebrity bully have lost their luster, and she'll never forgive me for betraying her. She's better off hating me like everyone else, even though she did it too. Yeah, even though Marcy did do it too, you didn't have to tell on her, right? Like I think it's really, I don't know, maybe it was Bree like in that moment, like feeling like she had to like spill the beans to everybody, but she didn't have to tell on her friend Marcy. I think it just goes to show that Marcy's friendship with Bree was not as strong as Bree originally thought, right? Their friendship was built on judging other people and being mean to other people. So like, it's not a very strong friendship when something like this happens. It's easily falls apart because that's the only thing you had between each other. I also love how Jenny is like trying to be the one to like be nice to Bree when Jenny is the one who originally called her out in the first place. But I think Jenny like sees it firsthand of Bree like experiencing the bullying back, that she's like, Jenny almost feels bad for Bree. You know, Jenny's like, okay, obviously she did what was wrong, but she clearly didn't mean for it to go this far. And so Jenny kind of feels bad for her. At least Marcy didn't make a scene. I just don't think I can handle another person pointing out how awful I am. I turn away, trying not to cry in front of everyone in the middle of the cafeteria, because that would be fatal. I walk with my lunch tray straight to the cafeteria door. You can't leave with that, says Mr. D'Anastasio, the teacher on lunch duty. So I throw my lunch in the garbage, tray and all, and walk out of the cafeteria, ignoring Mr. D'Anastasio. Why does his name have to be that? Why can't you we're just going to call him Mr. D. Mr. D's angry shout. Fighting the tears that threatened to cloud my vision, I head straight for the main office to call Mom to take me home. Dad thinks I should have consequences. Well, I've got them. I hope he's happy. Also, I think this is such a dumb thing. Like, I get why you can't leave the cafeteria with a tray of food, but like, poor girl hasn't eaten. Like, she's not going to eat. Like, look around, Mr. D. Mr. DNA. Mr. D. Yeah, okay, it's almost Mr. DNA, actually. Look around. She's just getting bullied. I don't know. Ugh, okay. That was bad interaction. When Mom talks to the principal about what's going on, he says there's a zero tolerance policy on bullying, but then shrugs. Even the principal's in on it. Even the principal is okay with Bree being bullied back. Oh my gosh. Look, I understand your concern, Mrs. Connors, and obviously this isn't kind behavior, but it's not bullying as defined under the law. And under the circumstances, I can't say this is entirely unexpected. Wow, even the principal is defending people bullying Bree. That's wild, dude. That's wild. So what you're saying is my daughter brought this on herself? Is that what I'm hearing? Really, Mom? Really? Yes, because she did bring it on herself. Like, are you okay? Bree's mom is like, she's like in a different world. She's in a different universe. Mom says, her voice shaking with anger. No, Mrs. Connors, I'm saying that given your daughter's actions toward Laura Kelly, I'm not surprised that there is backlash from the other students. That's the title of the book. The principal says, it doesn't make it right, but that's the way it is. Well, if that's your attitude, you better get my daughter transferred to another school pronto, or you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands, Mom says. Come on, Bree, I'm getting you out of this place. For the first time in my life, I'm glad my mother is a great white shark mom, because maybe it means I won't have to come back to the school. School isn't the only problem. Death threats have kept on coming even though we disconnected the landline and got an unlisted number. After Mom tells Dad about what happened at school, Dad makes Liam and me delete all our social media accounts. They haven't done that already? Like, wow, really? They haven't done that already? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, you name it. Yeah, we know this happened a while ago. I mean, Twitter, Instagram are still pretty popular platforms, but Facebook has started to die. Tumblr, I don't even know. Do any of you still use Tumblr? Like, I remember Tumblr, but I don't use it anymore. Like, at all. Like, I used to use it every day. But I don't even hear about it anymore. People use it anymore. It upset me a little, but I could understand why Dad was making me do it. And to be honest, I hadn't been checking them much because I was afraid to see what people were writing. Liam, on the other hand, I've never seen him so mad. What did I do? He shouts. Nothing. That's what. The nasty look he gives me is worse than the kids at school because he's my brother, part of my family. He's supposed to love me. That's what families do. This is all your fault, Bree. I hate you. I guess supposed to doesn't matter when our family is falling to pieces, and I'm the one to blame for pushing us all off the cliff. Liam, we're dealing with more than enough haters outside of these walls, Dad says, his voice quiet but firm. We don't need them on the inside. Too bad you didn't tell her that, Liam spits out, gesturing to me angrily with his thumb, or Mom, before they started hating on Laura, before they made her try to kill herself. I wrap my arms around my waist as if they can offer a shield from his angry words, but nothing does. My brother's disgust with me is like nuclear radiation. It seeps through all my feeble defenses. People make mistakes, Dad says, sighing heavily. You can't hate your sister forever because she made one bad decision. Okay, very true, Dad. Try me, Liam argues, his eyes cold and narrowed. Not all mistakes end up with death threats and people leaving dog crap in our mailbox. Okay, so I made the biggest mistake in the history of the universe, I say, feeling like I'm going to cry for the zillionth time since I heard those messages on my cell phone. I'm sorry, all right? Are you, Bree? Really? Liam asks. You didn't seem that sorry when Laura tried to kill herself. It's like you're just sorry because you got caught. Oh, Liam actually spitting truth right now. Liam actually spitting the truth. That's very true, right? Bree did not even, like she even just said, I feel like I'm going to cry for the zillionth time since I've heard those messages. She didn't really feel bad until the police showed up and were asking about it, right? Like immediately after it happened, she's taking video and picture of Laura on the stretcher being wheeled into the hospital, into the ambulance, right? She doesn't feel bad until it comes knocking on her door. That's a good point. That's a really, really, really good point, Liam. Maybe it's because he hurt me so badly when he said that. Maybe it's because he fired an arrow and hit a bullseye in a truly dark place. Maybe it's because deep down, I know in some small way he's right. Well, at least you know. Maybe it's because it hurts so much that my brother seems to hate me, and that just makes me want to hurt him back. Well, what are you doing hanging around with Sydney Kelly? I ask. I saw you two coming down from the tree fort together last night. How sick is that when Mom had to call the cops on her dad and her parents want to put Mom and me in jail? I know this came as a total shock to Dad, based on his expression as he turns to my brother and asks, Is this true, Liam? Have you been hanging out with Sydney? Do you realize how inappropriate that is? What is with these parents? I mean, like, okay, like they're 13, 14 years old, but like, they can't hang out together? Like, just because, I mean, I don't know. Well, parents are weird on this. But it is interesting that Bree is also the one, like, as Laura outs Sydney and Liam to their parents, Bree is also the one who outs Liam and Sydney to their parents. It's interesting. If I thought Liam was mad before, that was just the warm-up. Dad's question is the spark that ignites the serious fireworks. I'm the one making things inappropriate because I'm hanging out with Sydney, he shouts at Dad. And it's gross because he's literally spitting with rage. I didn't ask to be a part of this freak show, but I had no choice. I'm stuck smack dab in the middle of it. It's not easy for anyone right now, Dad says, but Liam's not in the mood for excuses. You know what they call me at school? Son of Monster Mom, bullying Bree's brother. Those do have a nice ring to them, right? They're alliterative. They have the same letter repeating, there's kind of a ring to that. I hate every single minute. If I had enough money, he gives a bitter laugh, which ends up sounding like a sob. Forget that. If I had the courage, I'd run away and change my name so no one would know I was related to you. He says the last part looking straight at me with such disgust and loathing that I can't believe he's the little brother I've grown up with and lived with my whole life. I can't face him anymore. I can't face the world anymore. It's bad enough that everyone at school hates me. It's bad enough that all these people who don't even know me hate me. I run to my room and throw myself on the bed crying. Wonder if this is all I can look forward to in the future. If I'll always be hated because I'm bullying Bree, the monster spawn of Monster Mom, pariah of Lake Hills. Didn't you ever stop for just 1 minute to think about the consequences of what you were doing? Dad had asked me last night when he came to kiss me goodnight and found me crying. I don't know, I sniffed. It's a simple yes or no question, Brianna, he said, smoothing the hair back from my hot, damp cheek. What Dad doesn't get is that nothing is simple anymore, especially not that. Did you ask Mom that? I asked him, because she did it too. I've been thinking about that a lot. What would have happened if Mom had acted differently when she caught me pretending to be Christian? What if she had punished me instead of joining in? What if she hadn't just grounded me, but she had called Mrs. Kelly and told her what was going on and made sure they broke things to Laura gently because of her history? Would Laura have tried to kill herself? Would we be getting death threats? Would Liam hate me? Would I hate myself? But here's the question I ask myself most of all, especially at night when I stare up at the ceiling trying to get to sleep. Should I have been the one to take all those pills instead of Laura? There you go. That's it. She's learned her lesson, you guys. Hello? Where are you? There we go. She learned her lesson, right? She's feeling the feelings that Laura felt that night. The exact feelings, right? The feeling of like, I don't want to be alive anymore. That's exactly how Laura felt. And now Bree is feeling those exact feelings. To answer her question, no, she did not think of the consequences of what she was doing. And that's why she did it. But now she is second guessing herself. She's thinking about what if her mom had stopped her? What if her mom had been the adult in the situation and stopped her from continuing this on? I don't think Laura would have tried to kill herself, even if they ended up like breaking up, like making Bree stop and telling Laura who Christian really was. I think because the thing that actually makes Laura try to kill herself is what Christian says to her, not the fact that he wasn't real, right? Like obviously she feels bad about him not being real. But the thing that actually causes her to try and kill herself is what he says to her on her Facebook wall. Okay. Sydney. Mom won re-election to the city council by a comfortable margin despite dad's televised pajama rant. What did I tell you? See? What did I tell you? Of course she was going to win. Of course she was going to. People feel bad for her. People are like, oh, she's dealing with so much stuff with her daughter. Oh, and she's going to try and help by making new laws. Of course she wins re-election. There's no way she doesn't. I'm sorry. There's just no way she doesn't win that. Her opponent tried to bring up her parenting skills in a debate and was booed down by the audience. Over a celebratory dinner at home that night, Mom says that even if he hadn't been, she'd been prepared. After discussing it with her campaign manager, she decided that the best way to deal with the issue was to face it head on so she could frame it to her advantage. Exactly. That's what politicians do. Laura and I secretly roll our eyes at each other. After dinner, I follow Laura to her room and ask her how she feels about being an issue to be framed. To my amazement, she actually puts her hands around her face like she's making a picture frame and laughs. It's just never-ending fun and giggles, she says in a comically bright voice. But then she puts her hands down and shrugs, the smile fading from her eyes. Whatever, it's Mom. She deals with life her way. I have to learn how to deal with mine. Good for you, Laura. Good for you. But what if her way makes your way? What if she makes you crazy? I have to try to talk to her about it, like I'm doing with this Laura laws thing. I get that passing a law is her way of trying to help, but we're trying to get her to understand that naming it after me is not going to stop me from moving on, or is going to stop me from moving on. Who's we? I ask. Linda, Laura says. She's not as bad as I thought she was in the beginning. She says I can go back to school soon. Look at this. There's so much progress happening. I'm so happy for Laura. Good for you, Laura. Wow. That'll make Mom happy, I say. Mom has made no secret of how difficult it was making it for her to campaign when she had to babysit Laura all day. She started dragging Laura around with her when she went door to door. But what about you? I don't know, Laura replies. Part of me is relieved I won't be stuck at home with Mom watching my every move anymore. At least you can pee and shower with the door closed now, I remind her. She'd been allowed that privilege back the previous week. Oh yeah, and I won't miss having to go door to door canvassing with Mom, Laura says. Although I have to admit, it made me see a whole different side of her. What do you mean? I ask. I guess to me, it always seemed like this political stuff was all about her because of the way it affects our lives. What, like having to pretend we're the perfect family or of perfect town all the time, I say with a heavy dose of snark. Yeah, that, Laura says. But when I was campaigning with her, I heard people thanking her for the things she had done to help them and their families. I realized she really does want to try and make people's lives better. I mean, it doesn't make it any less annoying about the perfect family stuff, but at least I started to see something good that comes from all her politicking instead of hating every single thing about it. Or maybe you're just starting to understand where all mom's crazy stuff comes from, I say. Laura laughs for a second time, which makes me think she's finding herself again. Gradually, but stronger, better version. I've missed that, Laura. Definitely, she says. But maybe understanding where the crazy comes from makes it a little easier to deal with. I pick up Hedwig and make her pretend fly around my knees. So, are you scared about going back to school? Of course I am, Laura says, looking at me like I'm an idiot. I'm terrified, scared to face the stares and the whispers. You know, that's the girl who tried to kill herself over some guy who turned out to be her next door neighbor pretending. Wouldn't you be? Totally. But at least you won't have to face Bree now that she's transferred. I know, that's a big relief. It would be even harder to go to school if she were still there. Laura wraps her arms around her knees. It's going to be hard enough facing everyone else. Do you wish you could go to a different school instead of going back to Lake Hills High? We talked about it, Laura says. But even though there are bad things about going back to Lake Hills, like dealing with the people who thought we were friends and weren't, at least I'll still be with the people who really are friends, rather than starting over totally. She sighs. Do you want to know the worst part of going back to Lake Hills? What? I ask. Dad, she says, grimacing. Don't tell me he's still on about the spreadsheet. He's totally insane, Laura exclaims. You need to know who these jerks are so you can be wary of them when you go back to school. Laura's imitation of Dad makes me giggle, but her expression sobers me up quickly. I take it you still don't want to look at it, I say, remembering the scene that night in the hospital when Dad tried to force her to do it. Laura shakes her head no. It's too painful. I remember a few names of people who liked Christian's post from that night before I took the pills, but believe me, it's not because I want to. I don't want to disagree with her now that we're finally getting along and she seems to be doing so much better. But I kind of agree with Dad on the last thing. But if you don't, if you just try to forget it all, then how will you know who to trust? I ask her. I mean, if they were that mean to you once, what's to stop them from doing it again? I know, Laura says, dropping her head to her knees. I've heard it 1,000,000 times from Dad. Forewarned is forearmed, Laura. It's so funny. I feel like her dad is is he like a military buff or something? It wouldn't surprise me if he had a gun because I feel like he would be pro gun, he's very I don't know. He is a good dad. Listen, he's a good dad. I'm not saying he's a bad dad. It's okay to like guns, or have a gun, but he's just very he's so aware of trying to be protecting and protect things and going after people who wrong you and stuff, right? Forewarned is forearmed, You need to know to protect yourself. She raises her head and looks me in the eye. Sid, the names I do remember, they might not have been my best friends, but they were people I thought at least liked me. Why would they do something like that? Why? I don't have an answer for Laura then. None of us do. And that's what's so hard for everyone, especially my sister. Liam and I keep meeting up in the tree fort despite the objections of our parents. Yay! It makes me feel like we're Romeo and Juliet, I tell Liam as we snuggle together in the candlelight. That's cool, as long as I don't end up poisoned and you don't stab yourself, Liam says with a wry smile. Okay, like Romeo and Juliet, but with a happy ending. Yes, let's remember that when we're comparing our relationships to Romeo and Juliet, everybody, that Romeo and Juliet died, okay? They did not live happily ever after, okay? So if you're saying, oh, me and my special someone are like Romeo and Juliet, that's not a good thing, okay? I've read that play enough to know, okay? Call yourself someone else. Call yourself, who are the people that have been together? If you call yourself, oh wait, maybe that's not a good idea. Oh no, that one works, I think. Right? The Queen and King. I'm not up on my British history. I'm not up on my British politics. I don't know. But the king and queen of England, that would work too. Prince and princess, Don't call yourselves Romeo and Juliet. Don't do that. That would be a story with a different title, I think, Liam says. Liam and Sydney, then. Oh, there you go. You can compare yourselves to Liam and Sydney. I hope that one has a happy ending, Liam sighs. Is everything okay? I ask him. I mean, I know everything isn't okay, but you seem upset. He runs the hand that isn't around my shoulder through his hair. I'm just sick of taking crap for what Bree did. How much more of this do I have to put up with? I don't have any more answers for him than I do for Laura. Haven't a clue, I sigh. I wish I had a time turner or a TARDIS so I could go back in time and tell Bree to think it through before she made that stupid profile, Liam says. Dad says I have to find a way to forgive her, but I'm still way too mad. I'll bet, I say. I can't find it in my heart to forgive Bree yet either. I mean, I feel bad about the death threats and stuff, but I'm glad she had to change schools. Glad for Laura's sake. And if I had to admit it, glad that she has to suffer in some way because of what she did. Mom's business has crashed to a grinding halt. So much for being the real estate queen of Lake Hills. No one wants to list property with Monster Mom. Dad's business is suffering too, and it's not like he had anything to do with it. No wonder Liam has a hard time forgiving his sister. I keep wondering if it makes me a bad person, Liam says. Dad says she's my sister and family is so important and we have to support each other, especially because she's getting so much grief from the outside. I feel all his muscles tense with anger. But so am I, he says. And it's not like I did anything wrong. And that's not all. We have to cut to basic cable because we can't afford the movie channels anymore. And Dad's talking about all these other sacrifices we have to make, all because of Bree. As bad as things have been for our family, at least we're slowly starting to heal. Laura's back at school and Mom got reelected. And maybe I didn't get to audition for the fall musical, but I'm going to be first in line to audition for the spring talent showcase. You're not a bad person, Liam. I'd be mad too. It's so interesting that Liam and Sydney have almost switched places. When it comes to their relationships with their sister, right? Because remember, at the beginning of the book, Sydney was angry at her sister for having all this drama and all this mental health issues, right? And she was like, I'm a bad person for being mad at my sister for this. And now Liam at the end of the book, right? That's gone over. Laura and Sydney are kind of reconciled their relationship, but Liam is now on the opposite side where he is so mad at his sister and obviously he feels like a bad person because it's his family and stuff and you should support family, which is yes is true. If your family is a good family, yes, if you have a good relationship, you should want to keep those relationships, but it's kind of that's not fair, right? It's not really fair. You can't choose your family, and to say it's you have to support each other. Yeah, okay. But Liam, I don't know. I don't think that that's a responsibility on him. I don't think he should be put under this kind of guilt trip for being mad at Bree. I don't think that that's fair to him. I don't know. Just how I feel. Okay. I kiss his cheek. It's Aww. I kiss his cheek. It's soft and chilly from the autumn cold. It'll get better eventually, I tell him. Remember when the press people were here? At least they're gone. They were camped outside our house for almost a week until some politician sent an inappropriate photo of himself to a woman who wasn't his wife, knocking Monster Mom and mother-daughter bullying team off the front page. I hope you're right, he says, and I just hope eventually comes soon. Sydney's right. It's going to take time, but eventually it will get better. Like she pointed out, right? The news eventually changes, right? Eventually there's going to be another big shock that happens to the community and send people going off on the next headline. Hey, London, welcome in. Thank you so much for coming to watch my stream. We're finishing up Backlash, so I hope you, if you remember this book, I hope I don't spoil it too much for you. Hey, okay. yeah, and eventually time is going to heal, right? Time will eventually heal the wounds that this situation has created for both of the families. So it just, time does take time. That's the problem with time, is that it takes time. Okay, Bree. The kitchen timer goes off and I step into the shower to rinse my hair, turning the water. Okay, wait, pause for a second. So I want to go back because Sydney brings up really interesting information about what happened with Liam's family. So we know that Bree has transferred schools. Let me see if I can find that. I think it was on this page. Here we go. Bree transferred. Okay, totally. But at least you don't have to face Bree now that she's transferred. So Bree has transferred schools and is going to a new school. And it sounds like her mom, or Liam's mom, Bree's mom, is not a real estate agent anymore, right? Her business has crashed. No one wants to work with her because of the bad publicity. And her dad's, Bree's dad's business is also suffering. And they've had to make these sacrifices, like they're losing money. Right? Where did it go? Sacrifices. So they have to cut to basic cable. They can't afford certain things. They're having to budget more. And so that's Liam's family is kind of like not getting it together, which is unfortunate, right? It seems like they've almost switched places completely. Okay, moving on. Bree. The kitchen timer goes off and I step into the shower to rinse my hair, turning the water as hot as I can stand it. I watch the water swirl into the drain, dark and muddy, as it washes the excess color from my hair. Oh, she dyes her hair. Interesting. When the water finally runs clear, I comb through the conditioner and wait for 2 minutes, like it said on the instructions, wondering as I wait how I'm going to look. What my parents are going to say, whether this is going to make a difference. After I blow dry and look in the mirror, I look like me, but different. My hair is inky black, not light brown like mom's or chestnuts like dad's and Liam's. My skin looks pale in comparison, white and almost translucent under the mirror lights. I like it. It feels more like the me I am now instead of the Bree I'm trying to escape. If I can ever escape her. That's the million-dollar question. Transferring schools only helped a little because everyone at my new school knows what happened. When you've been a national news story, it's hard to get a fresh start, short of getting into the witness protection program and getting a whole new identity. Important crime witnesses qualify for that, but high school cyberbullies don't. Okay, so she's moving schools clearly to try to have a better situation at school since she's lost all of her friends and no one wants to hang out with her and she's being bullied. And she's dyed her hair again to try and escape this previous version of herself who did this horrible thing, who was the cause of all of their problems. And and it's hard, but she really can't escape it because she's not like she can get a new identity. She could start going by a different name, right? She could go by Anna instead of Bree if she really wanted to, because her name is Brianna. But I don't know. I don't think that would work. Additionally, she's just trying to change, right? I think this is a very clear action to just try and I don't want to be this person I was anymore that everybody hates. I want to change. I want to move on. Which is good, right? She's dyeing her hair. It's, it's something that people do when they feel that they need that change. It's an easy, abrupt way to automatically be different. But I don't think it's going to help all that much. I think she's still going to be feeling the residual backlash from her actions. So every day I face the whispers, the looks, the cold shoulders when I try to make new friends. The only light on my horizon is dance team, which makes me feel a part of something. My teammates still don't invite me to sleepovers or to go shopping with them at the mall or anything out of school, real friend stuff. But at least they say hi to me in the hall and let me sit with them at lunch. And when we won a competition, I was part of the group hug just like everyone else. Wow. So sorry, Bree. I actually am feeling bad for her. At least they don't shun me. It's a start. When I transferred to the new school, Mom tried to get me to try out for cheerleading. No, I'm done with cheerleading, I said. I'm trying out for dance team. I've already talked to the coach and she said she'd let me even though it's mid-year. What do you mean you're done with cheerleading? Mom said. You love cheerleading. Wow, Bree's mom is totally oblivious. Like someone said today in class, like it would be cool if they had a chapter where it was Bree's mom's perspective. And I feel like that would be such a hard chapter to write because like, what is going on in her brain? Like, what is actually happening in there? Because like, how does she not pick this up? How does she still think that Bree is like into cheerleading? Right? Like, it's so weird. Like her mom is so weird. Like I really don't. It would be very interesting to see what a chapter from her perspective would be like. I don't know. It would either be like her hiding all of her innermost, like dark thoughts, or she's just like completely oblivious and has no idea what she has done or what anything means, right? Like it's really weird. No, Mom, I don't. You love cheerleading, I said. I'm sick to death of cheerleading. I'm glad I didn't make the team at Lake Hills, and I'm not going to try out at Westlake. My mom opened her mouth to say something, but Dad put his hand on her arm to stop her. Mary Jo, it's okay. Maybe exploring a new activity is just what Bree needs right now, he said. Mom closed her mouth and ate the rest of her dinner in stony silence, while Dad tried to keep up the conversation to lighten the atmosphere. The weirdest thing about that whole night was Liam. He'd been speaking to me only when necessary, barely making eye contact, like he couldn't stand to look at me because he hated me so much. But that night at the dinner table, after I said I wasn't going to do cheerleading anymore, he actually looked me in the eye and grinned. I smiled back, but I don't know why he did it. It's not like it lasted. He's still really angry with me most of the time, but it was something. Since then, we've sat watching TV, basic cable, because we had to cut all the movie channels, and have laughed like we did before at stupid stuff until he remembers he's mad at me again. Everyone is in the kitchen when I go downstairs. Dad's reading the Sunday paper, Mom is looking at the help wanted section, and Liam's eating a bowl of cereal. Mom's looking at the help wanted section. I bet she is. I slip in quietly and go to get a bowl for my cereal, waiting for someone to notice. Morning, hun, Dad says, but he barely glances up, so he doesn't. Liam doesn't pay any attention to me as usual, but of course, my mom notices. Right? So she's dyed her hair. She didn't tell her family, obviously, and now she's like revealing it to them. And nobody says anything. Except for her mom. I imagine, Dubs, that they are eating Cheerios because that's the kind of cereal that Bree mentioned earlier. Maybe it's a different kind of cereal though, because maybe Bree doesn't like Cheerios anymore. Because the last time she talked about having Cheerios was when she started getting the death threats on her phone. So maybe it's a different kind of cereal. Maybe it's like Fruit Loops or something. But yeah, maybe it's something completely different altogether. Maybe she can't stand to look at like circular cereal anymore. I know it's you, one. I know. I'm just using your YouTube name because that's what's showing up. Okay. Brianna Marie Connors, what on earth have you done to yourself? She shrieks. Knowing that my mother hates my hair just makes me love it all the more. Liam stares at me, a mouthful of unchewed cereal in his mouth. Well, that's a very different look, Bree, Dad says, lowering the paper to the table. What brought this on? I can't tell from his measured tone if he's mad at me or not. And how could you do this without asking us? Mom adds. There's no doubt from her voice that she is. It's my hair, so it's my decision, I say. However, you are 15 years old and we're still your parents, Dad reminds me. I guess he is mad. I don't care. I needed a change, I tell them. I want to be someone different, someone besides bullying Bree. Yeah, like dyeing your hair is going to change things, Liam says. Right. Thanks for nothing, Liam. I raise my chin defiantly. It's something. It makes me feel more like myself when I look in the mirror. You look like a drug addict, Mom says. It washes you out completely. After everything that's happened, it just is so strange to hear Bree's mom continue to talk like she's always talked, right? Like talk about a static character, like talk about someone who hasn't learned their lesson and hasn't changed, right? Like I guess it is harder to change when you're older. That's what they say at least. But it just is like, I don't know, like why are you going to say this? Why are you going to say this to your daughter? Like Bree's mom must be seriously like she just is not like her daughter. I don't know, because she's always talked to her daughter this way in the entire book. She's always said horrible things to her like this. And it just seems like, Bree's mom isn't really like happy with Bree, like ever, like even before, she knew. The only time she ever felt happy with her daughter was when they were cyberbullying Lara. Macho Man, we have about 20 pages left. I think, let me look at the chapters here. That's not the chapters. Oh, we only have one more chapter of the main part 3, and then we're going to read the epilogue, which is also only one chapter. So it sounds like about 10 pages left of each. And I think that we're probably going to finish right before, right at the same time, right at the time that I need to finish. Maybe even earlier, like 8:45, which would be really nice. Hopefully sooner. But yeah, pretty soon here. We're almost done. It's about to wrap up. Things are wrapping up, right? We just have to figure out what's going to happen, what happens now, right? When Lara goes back to school and everything, is supposed to, quote, go back to normal. Okay, so she just said, "You look like a drug addict," Mom says. "It washes you out completely." "Wow, thanks, Mom," I tell her, swallowing the lump her words bring up in my throat. "I can always count on you to build up my self-confidence." "Would you feel better if I lied to you?" Mom asks. "Okay, fine. You look like Miss America. There, happy?" "No, but it's not a parent's job to sugarcoat things, Bree. It's our job to tell you how the real world works." "By making me feel like I'm never good enough?" I throw back at her. "Because if that's the case, you're the best mom ever. Good for you, Bree." "Okay, that's enough, Bree. Upstairs," Dad orders me. "But I haven't even had breakfast." "Now," he demands. I hate my family. I hate my life. I hate everything and everyone. Making as much noise as I can, stomping up the stairs, I head up to my room and slam the door hard enough that one of the ornaments on my desk falls over. Luckily, it doesn't break. I've messed up enough things in my life as it is. I fling myself on the bed, clenching my fists so tight that my fingernails dig into my palms. I want to explode, but I'm too numb, like my detonator's gone missing. Only those half moons in my palms remind me I can feel that my pain is real. Ooh, that's not good. There's a knock on the door. It opens before I decide whether to say go away or come in. It's my dad. It was only a courtesy knock telling me, sure, it's my room, but I'm also 15 years old and he's still the parent, so he's coming in no matter what I say. I sit up and curl into a ball, holding my knees as he walks over and sits on the bed next to me. He's carrying a bowl of cornflakes. Okay, there you go, Juan. It was cornflakes. I guessed it all wrong. Sorry. Cornflakes is so boring. Like, maybe if it's Tony the Tiger, but I don't know. "Thought you might be hungry," he says. Shrugging, I take it from him. I've kind of lost my appetite, but I take a bite or two to make him happy, then put the bowl on my nightstand. Dad's regarding me sadly. "Things are really tough for you," he says. "You think?" "Believe it or not, honey, we're on your side. We want to help you. I could do with less attitude." "Mom wants to help me by telling me I look like a drug addict?" Dad takes my hand, which is still clenched into a fist, and holds it between his two hands. They are large and warm and comforting despite everything. "Breenette, when you created that fake profile, you acted before you thought," Dad says. He hesitates. "And sometimes Mom speaks before she thinks." Wow. Good observation. The relief of Dad admitting that Mom was wrong to say that makes me unclench my fists. He strokes my hand, turning it over. First, he sees the deep marks in my palm where I dug my nails into the skin. Then he sees the other marks. The marks I made last night when I dragged a sharp pair of scissors across the skin of my forearm. She's self-harming. "Honey, what did you do?" he asks, sucking air through his teeth as he touches the marks gently with his finger. Nothing, I say, turning my face away. I can't meet his gaze. This isn't nothing, Bree Nut. When I don't respond, he says, look at me, Bree. I turn my face toward him and see concern. What's going on, Bree? The hair hurting yourself like this? I don't know. He shakes his head. You must know, he says. He sounds angry. People don't just do things like this out of the blue without knowing why. I already told you about the hair. You just don't listen. There's something inside me that's so big it scares me. But no one sees it. No one hears it. I don't have the words for it. All I know is this. I need what hurts to show on the outside as much as I feel on the inside. That's a sad awe. I look away because I don't expect Dad to understand. I've given up on being understood. I blew that right when I pretended to be Christian. One stupid mistake. Yeah, okay, we'll allow it. One stupid mistake and I've messed up my entire life forever. Bree, he says, and his voice sounds strange, strangled. I turn to him and there are tears rolling down his cheeks. The only time I've ever seen my father cry was before it was when Grandma died. He holds up his arms and something breaks open in my chest. Suddenly, the numbness is gone and the comforting warmth of my father's hug. I sob, great, messy, painful sobs, so big they feel like they're going to break my ribs. Dad strokes my hair as I cry and tells me it's okay, and that he's going to arrange for all of us to go to a family therapist that he thinks we need outside help to get through this, and that it's more than we can handle by ourselves. And he is absolutely right. This is the best thing you can do, is to go see a family therapist and go work it out, because we all know who needs it the most, and it's not Bree. It's not Bree, it's not Liam, and it's not Bree's dad. It's really just one person who needs to be woke up, you know? Also, Macho Man, I don't think she's pulling a Laura, because Laura didn't try to slit her wrist. Laura tried to overdose on pills, which is a very different action. I'm not saying obviously that they're vastly that different. They both have the kind of the same outcome, but to be specific, people who self-harm may have suicidal thoughts, but and another misconception is that people who cut themselves do it for attention. Both of those are completely misconceptions. It's not about suicide and it's not about getting attention. It's what she says, right? I want the pain that I feel on the inside to show on the outside, right? Sometimes it's about, she says she was numb, she's been feeling all this pain and she's been hiding away. She's been numb and hurt. And sometimes when people do that, it's a way to feel something, right? It's a way to let out that pain and release it almost. I know it sounds weird, and I don't fully understand it myself. I've never been in that situation, but that's how I've come to understand it from people who've talked about it, right? Is that it's not about trying to kill yourself, and it's not about trying to get attention from other people. Sometimes it's just about releasing pain that's inside you, because nothing else seems to release that pain. Crying doesn't do it. Talking about it doesn't do it. Sometimes that's the only way for them to feel that pain is being released. It's not a healthy way to do it, but it is something that they can do. It also can be, if someone is feeling really depressed or really numb inside, it's a way for them to feel something again, feeling the pain, right? But it is it's not a good thing. No, it's not a healthy way to deal with pain. It's not a healthy way to deal with depression. It is definitely harmful. And it can be extremely dangerous, right? One wrong cut and it's you're done. Okay, so they're going to family therapy. Thank God. I know some people say asking for help is a sign of weakness, but I don't hold with that, Dad says. The smartest, strongest thing a person can do is know when to get help. Preach. But doesn't that make me crazy? Just like Laura, I sniff. Haven't you learned not to call her crazy? Mom always does. Well, that's another thing we need to change around here. Calling people names. And also, Bree, haven't you learned that, your mom is wrong most of the time, right? Just because your mom always called her crazy doesn't mean that you should be doing that. If anything, it should teach you that that's not the right thing to do. I pull away and ask him the question that plagues me every moment of every day. Did I mess up my life forever? I mean, will people ever forget about this? Dad's the one who is most likely to tell me the truth. His hesitation in answering tells me the most. Things will get better. I can't tell you how or when. It might take a very long time. But we will get through this. He doesn't know. None of us do. The future, once so full of possibility, is now a dark and scary place. But hopefully, like Dad says, maybe with help we can get through it, however long it takes. Okay, so the epilogue skips ahead in time, right? However long it takes, right? Maybe that amount of time is 12 months, right? As it says in the epilogue right here. Or maybe not. Maybe it takes longer than that. But we're about to find out. So we're skipping ahead in time, right? Bree dyed her hair. Who knows if she kept it the same? But she's going to a different school now. She's trying out for the dance team. She's doing what she wants to do. They're going to family therapy. Laura is back at school. She's doing good. She's got a great relationship with her sister. She's dealing with all of her emotions and therapy and talking to her mom, like telling her mom how she really feels about the Laura laws thing. So let's see how this all wraps up. Lara. To say life is back to normal would be a lie. It's probably more accurate to say we're living the new normal. Mom is still trying to get Laura laws passed in the state legislature and using the notoriety of our case to lobby for similar laws across the country. She and Dad are still furious that Mrs. Connors and Bree weren't prosecuted for what they did, and they want to make sure there's a law in place to protect people. But after we talked in family therapy, she agreed to change the name to BIC laws against bullying in cyberspace. All right, doing that allows her to heal in her way and me to heal in mine. Healing for me is still a work in progress. Before I went back to school, Dad kept nagging me to look at the list of people who'd liked Christian's mean post on my wall or made awful comments. I didn't want to, any more than I had in the hospital. In the end, I compromised by taking the list to therapy and looking at it there. Away from the house, away from my parents, in a place where I could just feel whatever I needed to feel about it. What did I feel when I finally let myself look at the names on that piece of paper? Betrayal, anger, disgust. But that was a positive sign, according to Linda, because I was starting to feel angry instead of sad. Because I was getting mad at the people who were behaving badly toward me instead of directing the feelings toward myself and feeling sad and suicidal. Yes, that's it, right? Like those mean things that people say to you. It's not about you sometimes. Sometimes it's about them. Sometimes it's about their hurt and they're just putting it on you. Because gradually, I was learning not to let those people have control over me exactly anymore. When I finally did go back to school, I was glad I knew those names. Some of the same kids who had liked the picture of me on the stretcher, who had written things like corpse girl and is Lardosaurus dead, came up to me and acted so genuinely friendly and concerned that if I hadn't seen Dad's list, I would have believed they really cared. Just like the same trusting idiot I was before this all happened, like I was with Christian. People can be so two-faced. Or maybe there's another explanation. Maybe they really do feel bad about what happened. That's possible. That's something Linda brought up when we talked about it. Maybe after I ended up in the hospital, they thought about what they had done. Maybe they hadn't realized that the words they typed so casually caused me so much real pain. That's absolutely possible. The problem is I can't read their minds, and that's what scares me the most, that I don't know how I'm supposed to trust anyone ever again. Laura keeps reminding me that it's a process, Linda keeps reminding me that it's a process. Ugh, the dreaded P word again. I keep asking her why someone can't just give me a pill to cure this. I'd even take an operation. Why does everything have to be a long, drawn-out process? People always say, it gets better. What do I know? What I want to know is when. And then the person who bullied me got bullied too. You'd think I'd be happy about that poetic justice of that. But the weird thing is, I wasn't. I mean, sure, I was mad. At Bree, I still am. But knowing that people were being so cruel to her didn't make me feel any happier. As strange as it seems, it only made me feel worse. It was as if the whole thing took on a life of its own that had nothing to do with me anymore. People who wanted vengeance on my behalf were as mean to her as she was to me. Did it make it better? Any less cruel because they didn't know her, because they hadn't been her best friend once upon a time? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, everyone ended up hurt. She hurt me and they hurt her. Liam got hurt. Sid got hurt. Our parents were hurt. Did any of that help in the end, other than all of us hurting? Okay, yeah, right? So she's like working through this process. She's doing the process. Hey, Evan, welcome in. And she's realizing, but the point of the process, right, is so that you figure all of this out, right? She's asking like, can I just get an operation or take a pill or whatever? It gets better when? When is it actually going to get better? But the truth of the matter is like, she has to figure this out, right? Like everyone ended up getting hurt, even when Bree got bullied, right? She's recognizing that this cycle of bullying is not helping anybody. Did any of it help in the end other than all of us hurting? No, it didn't. It didn't help, like it made everybody hurt more. Even though I'm relieved that I don't have to see Bree every day, I still see her going to and from her house once in a while. It's hard to completely avoid someone when you live right next door. I have frequent imaginary conversations with her in my head. They're always short conversations. I ask her, why? What did I do to make you hate me so much? Why did you do it? The conversations are short because she never answers. Because even when I try to imagine reasons why she would hate me enough to trick me with Christian, to write the things she did, I come up blank. Even a year later, after all this therapy, I still can't figure it out. That more than anything is what still makes me crazy and prevents me from moving on. Come on, Laura, Dad shouts. We gotta leave if we're going to get the game on time. It's the big Lake Hills versus Westlake football game today. Liam and Sid are both freshmen at Lake Hills now, although Liam told us the Connorses might have to sell their house and move to a smaller one because Mr. Connors' plumbing supply business still hasn't picked up from the hit it took after the bad publicity. Oh no. Okay, so Liam and Sid are in high school now. It's been a year later, but they're going to have to move. They're going to have to sell their house and move because they can't afford it. Oh my gosh. His business is still hurting. Mrs. Connors, let's see what happened with her. Mrs. Connors' real estate business is dead completely. She's working at Walmart for minimum wage. They're struggling to afford the mortgage. Okay. Listen, I do feel bad for Bree because she's a teen, right? She didn't really fully understand what was going to happen, but wow, that's what you get, Mary Jo Connors. That is what you get. Unfortunately, the whole family has to suffer now because of that. And it makes me wonder, it does make me wonder how her mom, how Bree's mom is viewing all of this. Has she learned her lesson? I don't know if we're going to find out because there's no more chapters after this. It's just Laura's perspective. I take a last look in the mirror, adjust my purple and gold hair ribbons, and head downstairs. Sid and Dad are already in the car. Hurry up, Mom says, handing me my pom-poms. We pull out of the driveway, and just as we pass the Connors' house, we see their car starting to back out of theirs. Is Bree going to the game? Mom asks. Yeah, Sid says. She's on the dance team. They're performing at halftime with the Westlake Band. My mom glances back at me, her forehead furrowed with the worried about Laura but don't want to say anything to upset her look. Mom, we live next door to each other. I already see her once in a while without totally losing it, so I think I can handle her dancing on the football field without having a relapse, I say. Sid gives me an encouraging grin. I wasn't thinking you were going to have a relapse, Laura, honey, Mom says. You've made such good progress. I don't want you to be upset. I try to imagine how I'll feel if Bree and I actually come face to face, like if we bump into each other randomly in the crowd. Will I ask her why or just act like nothing ever happened? Because what's the point? Will I say hello or walk straight by her like we've never met? Until it happens, I'm not sure how I'll react. Maybe today's the day I'll find out, or maybe not. When we get to school, my parents and Sid go to sit in the stands, and I head down to the sidelines to meet the rest of the squad. We start doing crowd warm-ups, even though the stands are still half empty and not everyone on the team is here yet. It gets people psyched up, and moving keeps us warm. Mom and Dad are sitting together, but Sid's not with them. She's sitting in a different section a few rows down from Liam. They seem relaxed together and happy.
Aww.
Even if their relationship doesn't last, at least something kind of good has come out of this whole mess. So true. For that, I am grateful. Oh, why can't I highlight this? There we go. But as much as I try to be happy for them, it only reminds me of my loneliness. Oh, Laura. I've been too afraid to get involved with anyone since Christian, too scared to trust people, even the ones I can see right in front of me. And this is what I was talking about. I was talking about this earlier. Like, it's probably going to like keep her from being in other relationships because she's like so worried about like liking someone like that again and being let down. Even the ones I can see right in front of me. Foreshadowing? ? Knowing that Liam's here, I can't help turning around and glancing at the opposite sidelines to see if the Westlake dance team is there. They are, and they're wearing black and silver tracksuits, but I can't pick her out. Maybe she didn't come. Maybe she couldn't face being back here. I could understand that. People might have moved on, but they haven't forgotten. Luis and Julissa waved to me from the stands. They've been so supportive of me. I couldn't ask for better friends. See you at halftime after the show, Julissa shouts. I give her a thumbs up and wave my pom-poms in their direction. Luis smiles and shouts, cheer hard. Ever since he remembered about the tulips, I've started noticing little things about him. No, like what a great smile he has and how even though he and Julissa might bicker about little things, he always sticks up for her. When the game starts, I don't know if it's because I think Bree might be there, but I cheer even louder, kick even higher, and smile even bigger than I normally do. I want to show everyone that Laura Kelly is doing just fine. Laura Kelly didn't let this destroy her, even though she almost did at first. Hey, Jamarcus. We're up 14-7 at halftime when the Westlake band, their cheerleaders, and the dance team take the field. I search for Bree and think maybe I spot her. I have to admit, the routine is pretty good. Then it's our turn, and for the first time in a while, I'm really nervous to perform. It's the halftime show, all eyes on us, and I don't want to miss up any tumbles or do the slightest thing wrong, because Bree might take it as a sign that she damaged me in some way, that somehow she won. And I don't know if that's what Bree is thinking. I don't think that Bree is going to see Laura and be like, oh yeah, I beat her. Like, no, sorry, Laura, but Bree is not thinking that. I mean, at least on the last chapter that we read from Bree, I don't think that Bree is like thinking of herself in any positive things, in any positive way. But then, just as I think that, I see myself sitting in Linda's office, hearing her telling me that's an unproductive thought that I need to learn how to toss. So I pretend it's a piece of paper and mentally throw it in a pretend garbage can as the band starts up. Taking a deep breath, I just let my muscle memory take over and do what we've been practicing over and over. It's all good. Luis and Julissa meet me on the sidelines when we come off the field. You hungry? Luis asks. I'll buy you a wrap. Sure, I say. What about me? Julissa complains. Are you buying me a wrap? He looks at her like she's crazy. You're my sister, he says. Buy your own wrap. Oh, come on, I tell him. Be a good twin and get one for Julissa too. I get suckered into everything, he says, sighing before heading off for the food cart. I have to run to the bathroom, I tell Julissa. I'll meet you back here. Meet me at the food cart, she says. I'll go keep Luis company in the line, since he's treating. As usual, there's a line for the girls' room. I'm standing behind a group of girls in black and silver tracksuits. I wonder if they know Bree. How does it feel being back at your old school? One of them asks the black-haired girl standing with her back to me. Uh-oh. Weird, she says. Really weird. My heart starts thumping in my chest, and my palms are damp. It's Bree. I never thought I'd come back here ever, she continues. Not after what happened. I stand there, frozen. And then Christine, one of the other cheerleaders, comes out of the bathroom and says, Hey, Laura. Thanks, Christine. Best segue ever. Hey, Laura. And Bree turns around, looking at me wide-eyed. Her face looks thinner and paler against the stark black of her hair. I feel a flood of nerds explode within me, and I have the urge to bolt. Instead, I quietly say, Hi, Bree. Laura, she says, Hi, I was wondering if I'd see you here. Yeah, me too, I say. You hurt me so much, made me try to kill myself over a guy who didn't even exist, made me afraid to trust anyone, including myself. Look different with dark hair. I did it a while back, she says, fidgeting a little. Mom hates it. The girls she's with are watching and listening. They know what happened, and they've figured out that I'm Lara Kelly, the girl who fell for Bree's trick, the girl who tried to kill herself. I am that girl, but I'm not just her anymore. I've been working really hard to become more. I straighten my shoulders. I like the routine you guys did, I say, even though what I really want to say is, why, Bree? Why did you do it? Thanks, Bree says. We've been practicing that one for a while. She glances at the line ahead as if desperate for it to be her turn so she can avoid talking to me anymore. How are things here? She asks. With you. I had to work so hard every day to get to where I am now. I hate you for what you did to me. Why did you do it, Bree? Why? Great, I say, smiling brightly. Cheerleading's great. Homecoming's coming up soon. It's all good. I feel like I've turned into my mother. Everything is perfect with us Kellys. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Bree says. We're almost at the front of the line, and Assault opens up. Is it okay if I go first? She asks her friends. I'm really desperate. Yeah, we know, Bree. They tell her to go ahead. Bye, Laura, she says before escaping into the bathroom stall. Her teammates look at me curiously, like they're not sure what to make of me. They seem surprised that there wasn't more of a scene. What they don't realize is that when I get to the bathroom stall, my legs are shaking. I have to take several deep breaths to try and calm myself down before I emerge to go meet my friends at the food cart. Julisa's in line as I come out of the bathroom. At least it's shorter now. I couldn't wait. I left Luis waiting for you by the food cart, she says. Don't let him eat my wrap. I won't, I say. The minute I see Luis, he asks, what's the matter? How can you tell? I ask. Because you're even paler than usual, Gringa. Even though I'm freaked out, he gets a little giggle out of me. I just ran into Bree. Is it the first time since... Yeah, it was weird. Are you okay? Am I? I've been imagining that meeting for so long. Now that it's taken place, it's almost anticlimactic. And I still don't know why Bree did what she did. Maybe I never will. Maybe I just have to learn to move on regardless. Yes, I tell him, summoning up a smile. You know, I think I am. He hands me my wrap and shifts from one foot to the other. So, before my sister gets back, I wanted to ask you, do you want to go to the homecoming dance? He takes me totally by surprise. With you? No, with Iron Man, he quips, smiling, his warm eyes lightening up. Yes, with me.
Aww.
I don't know if it's because I just saw Bree or if it's just because I'm a coward. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to get back. And I turn and run back to the sidelines and I immediately regret it. Are you kidding, Laura? Are you kidding? Really? A real life boy likes you. He's in front of you, standing there asking you to the dance, and you say no? What? Is she crazy? Is she absolutely insane? She's gotta be. She's gotta be absolutely insane. How? Why? Why would she do that? Why would she say that? Okay, well, we already know why she would say that, right? Because she's obviously been traumatized from her previous relationship. But this is so sad. This is like so sad. We don't like this. We don't like this. No. Turn around, Laura. Go back. Go tell him how you really feel. Sid says I should have said yes and just gone. And your sister is right, as usual. Like, come on. Listen. If there's another book after this, I want Sydney to be the main character. She says it's like trying to get back on a bicycle to ride after falling off. But if you fall off a bike and you break your arm, the doctor can't tell you how long it's going to take to heal. So many weeks wearing a cast, so many weeks of physical therapy, and boom, you're good to go. But when someone lies to you and makes you afraid to trust, it's different. No one can tell you how long it will take for that damage to heal. By traffic cone. You can't just take a pill or wear a cast or do so many reps of weights and physical therapy. I'm still seeing my therapist, and although I'm better than I was, I know there's still a long way to go. Sid and Liam are in the living room watching a movie, a bowl of popcorn balanced between them. He has his arm around her, and when she feeds him a piece, he kisses the tips of her fingers as she places the kernel on his lips.
Aww.
That's disgusting. They're too cute. They're so cute that they are actually gross. Oh my God, go get a room. When they laugh about something, and I don't know if it's because I'm sick of feeling like the third wheel or because I'm ready to feel happy for me, and I realize to do that, I need to take a ride on the bicycle. I make a decision. When I get to my room, I text Luis and ask him if he's found a date for the homecoming dance yet. He's going to say no. You totally rejected him, Laura. You totally rejected him. Is he going to say yes? I don't know. It's right here on the page. You can look at it. I've changed my mind and I'd love to go with him. I apologize for being a coward yesterday. It's okay, he texts back. And I do have a date. Oh no. Her name is Laura Kelly. Smiley face. Yay. Yay. Woo, she did it. She's going to the homecoming dance. Finally. Last year at this time, I was obsessing about going to a dance with an imaginary boy. Now I'm going to a different dance with a real one. One who I know, who knows me, and who I think I'm beginning to trust. Sometimes I feel like I'm never going to get over this, but maybe I am making progress after all. Maybe this really is a process. Okay, you're getting it now. And healing doesn't come all at once. Maybe it just creeps up on you a little bit at a time until one day you finally realize you're feeling better than you thought. My memory box sits on the shelf above my desk. I haven't really been able to look at it since last year. It's just sat there. I take it down and remove the printout of the chat conversation where Christian DeWitt, the guy who never really existed, said, "Love you," which he never did. I rip the paper into tiny fragments and throw them in the garbage. Nice job. It's time to make some new memories, real ones this time. Today, I'm grateful that the pills didn't work. I'm grateful that every day I'm feeling a little bit stronger. I'm so grateful that I get the chance to try again. The end. This is just the acknowledgments. But yay, we did it. We got to the end of the book. That's it. That's the end of the book. Woo! Okay, we did it, you all. We did it. We made it. We finished Backlash, and it was a happy ending. Were you surprised? Did you think it was going to be a sad ending? Okay, but I think it is actually a happy ending. I think that everyone learned their lesson. Bree certainly learned her lesson. She had to have, right? What else? Laura gets to go to the dance with Luis, which is super exciting. Oh, okay, traffic on. We get it. Just as I remember it. That's right, London. Yeah, just as you remember it. Yay, it's done. And they have so many good things are happening at the end of the book, right? Sydney and Liam are together. And then Laura and her new boo, the Luis, who's going to take her to the dance, right? It's so great. It's such a happy ending. We really did it. Okay. Great job, everybody. That was part 3 of Backlash. I really, really love this book. So I really hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. It's got such a great message. It's got such a great, theme. It's relevant to today. Even though it's written for like 10 years ago. I mean, I think it definitely would change if it was written today, but it still has a lot of similar things that happen today, right? Like toxicity online, friendships breaking up, that kind of thing, like trusting people, being able to trust people, especially when you've been betrayed, catfishing. That's a huge deal online. You got to be really careful who you're talking to on the internet, But yeah, it's a great book. It's Backlash, Sarah Dare Littman. She's got other books. We can certainly look at them. I'll tell you what the other books were that I saw on the back of this book. So there's a book called Life After, which is supposedly emotionally convincing and absorbing, whatever that's supposed to mean. Then there's Wanna Go Private, which I think was supposed to be her first book that she published, and it's it looks interesting. I'm not entirely sure like what's it about. And then I think actually the other book that she wrote, Purge, is her first book, and I think that's like about eating disorders. At least that's what it sounds like. But what's the next book we're reading, Macho Man? I think the next book we're reading, here you go, Traffic Cone, I'll let you, your applause show too. The next book that we're reading is The Giver, but we're not going to start The Giver until after spring break. So we've got a couple of weeks. We're going to be chit-chatting about social media. You're going to be doing your final project for the book before we get into The Giver. But The Giver is another classic, is a real classic book. If you've ever read it, I hope you really enjoy it. There's a whole series that goes with it. There's 4 books in the series. So if you have read The Giver, what will probably happen in class will set you up with the sequel, because you can actually read the sequel alongside the first one, The Giver. And they're really good. Bye, Juan. Bye, Macho Man. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, Friday. We'll have a great Friday tomorrow. Enjoy your night. So I might be doing a stream for The Giver. It's shorter than this book. Bye, Clouds. See you tomorrow. But I don't know. I don't really know. It really just depends on my schedule and what's going on in the world, you know? So, but I would like to, because it's a little bit shorter than this book, so it wouldn't take me as long to read. It wouldn't take me full 2.5 hours per part. So, okay, enjoy your night, everybody. Have a fabulous evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Happy Friday Eve. It's Thursday night. Have a great one. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Bye. Bye, you guys. Bye. Okay, we're ending. Where are you? There you go. Bye. Bye, everyone. Have a good night, Brian. Good night. Enjoy your evening. See you tomorrow.